I'm going to close it out.
And we are live. It's Lee here. This is the first episode of Heavy Art Talk in terms of a live episode. I'm joined by my co-host Mark and Lucas. What's up, guys?
Oh, hey.
Yo.
Is it working?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, we're here. Cool. What's up, Black Vomit? But yeah, everyone is joining in. Basically, we're going to do some live inking today, and we are doing it on 3 different pieces. So they're all collaborative. If you guys saw my post or any of Mark or Lucas's, basically it's top, middle, and bottom, and we've been mailing them back and forth. But yeah, as we're talking and just kind of conversing, you guys, please have a drink, just relax, hang out with us. You can ask questions. I'll be putting them up periodically. But a lot of it's going to be us heads down, just kind of hanging out. So appreciate everybody hopping in. Really, it's going to be awesome. Sweet. All right, you guys want to get in drawing positions?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get things shifted around here.
All right.
I'm going to make everybody sick when I move my camera. That's what I'm going to do. I know if I turn it off, I'll probably mess something up. Give that a try. Yeah, that's not too bad, I guess.
It's at a slight angle, and then what I'll do is just pull people up periodically.
Sorry about that. It's on a mic stand, so it's a little wonky, but should work hopefully. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. What's up, Fred? Form Terror Growth. Jonathan.
Hey, Fred.
Jay, what's up?
Yeah, Fred and I chatted a little earlier today on the phone. It's good to see you, Fred. This is just to give people an idea of what's happening with the Exquisite Corpse. This portion, Lucas, I believe, illustrated, and his thematic was the cosmic horror, and then what happened is, Lee, you did the mid section of this piece, and I always feel like the bottom section is kind of the hardest in a way. It's hard to get a lot of information on the bottom because it's the base of the piece. If you're doing an album cover, it's one thing, but a floating design, or floating illustration, you're kind of capping it off. You don't want to go too over the top, So I'm going to try to show a little bit of restraint. But I have this little portion here that Lee has exposed for me, and so I did a really loose concept here on top of the paper that was covering the art, and then I just kind of, it's not even really tight. It's still pretty loose, but my idea is to have some planetary elements at the base of the illustration, and then I'll probably repeat some of it once we do the reveal. I'll probably go back in and try to make things a little bit more harmonious with some ink work and maybe some extra, even some jelly roll work and things like that. So.
Sweet, man. And what I'll be doing, of course, I'll be doing some drawing too. And this is mine right here with the waving hand. And I'll be just basically moving people around. So we'll kind of be checking in on each artist as we go. So with Lucas's here, nice thumb, dude. I was the head on this one, and then Mark did the middle.
Yep. So this is what I'm seeing when I'm looking at this. So the top 2/3 are covered. I see just a little bit of Mark's drawing, and then I did my pencil layout when we were chatting like 2 weeks ago. So it's all done and kind of ready to go. And I don't know. I'm all set. I've got all my tools ready to start inking, and if people have specific questions about what I'm doing, I'm happy to answer those. But otherwise, I'm going to start off by kind of blocking in just some areas of detail that I don't want to get covered up with too much dark value when I go in with a brush. And that's pretty much it. We'll see what happens.
Sweet. I'm just adding a couple of small. What's that?
Mark Jarrell is also here, fan of the show.
Oh, Mark, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. What's up,
Cheers,
Mark? Yeah, actually, I got to give Mark a call tomorrow. Mark and I went to the same high school.
Oh, nice.
I graduated. his older brother and I graduated in the same high school class, so I got to see Mark. He actually moved out of state, so I got to see him before he left. Anyway, cool dude. We've collabed a couple times on a few things. We did something together for Warm a while back, and then an unpublished piece for the band Holder as well. Hopefully that'll see the light of the day at some point. But Mark's a cool dude and very talented. He's been doing a lot of stuff for some dungeon synth projects and things like that. So
yeah,
always look forward to seeing what he's working on.
Awesome.
So thanks for stopping in here, Mark. But yeah, so what I'm going to do right now, I'm just going to start doing some basic outlines just to give people a sense of what's happening on my page. Circles are obviously a little bit trickier to deal with, but I'm trying to get these planetary elements started up here, and just kind of going in with a loose. I'm using a number 05 nib micron to get that going. This is Lucas. What kind of paper did you use on this piece I'm making? Right, it's pretty nice. I actually kind of like it.
I use a vellum surface Strathmore bristle.
Oh man,
I don't know if it's like 300 or 500 series. I just know that I really like the vellum surface over the smooth. So I like a little bit of tooth, but not too much.
Yeah, I can
find that the Strathmore has just a little bit of bite to it. That makes it kind of fun to lay down ink, but not as like I've tried the Canson. Like Canson has one that's like a vellum surface, but it's a little too rough for me. It's like a little too textured. Kind of fights with my pens a little bit. But I love the Strathmore. Yeah. I like to have that little bit of texture to work with when I'm going into ink. So right now I'm just using like an 03. I don't know if people can see that. Okay. Just kind of, like I said, kind of marking off for myself places where I don't want to get too heavy-handed with a brush later on. So I'm not like doing a ton of detailing, but I am trying to figure out like where I want some fine detail to be that I don't want to get like blotted out. I have a tendency.
Vimigo in the chat. Great to see you, man. Nice. He's always really kind on Instagram and stuff.
Cool. So one of the things I did to execute these circles, just to give people a heads up, I'm pretty rudimentary with my approach. I actually took some marker caps and did a loose trace in pencil. I didn't use a compass or anything, I just kind of traced out any kind of circular object I had easy access to, just because that's just kind of how I roll, I guess.
I do the same thing. I got like these plastic sheets. Actually, I'm right here.
I have one of these.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
Yeah, one of those. Those are great.
Look at you, man. You're so professional.
Hey, they're like secondhand. Like someone gave them to me. And I'm like, oh, sweet. Nice. I don't have to buy them. Nice. So come in handy. Secondhand art supplies. Some of the best finds that you'll ever get,
Nice.
Fred's giving you a shout out on the Worm Dream Unending painting, and then the new Vatsum album is pretty solid too. I've been personally listening to the new Cruciamentum album a lot. That one's been very good.
Yeah, Dylan from the band Rotted was praising that the other day. I didn't pick it up. I heard it. It didn't quite hit me the way that some of their I think got their debut on vinyl, which I like it. It's good. I especially like the artwork is the debut was done by Daniel Corcuera, the Chilean artist, and I'm not sure who did the new one. Was it Paulo Giardi or kind of?
It was a different. I actually didn't recognize the name of the artist when I looked at the cover for that. That's another one. Like it's on my list to pick it up. I listened to like the tracks that had been streamed, or whatever the tracks that had been shared. I thought they were pretty good. I have not been like listening to a ton of new stuff this year. I think if I had to like kind of pick some favorites from this year, I'd have to say that new Hellwitch album has kind of been one that I've been spinning a lot.
New Hellwitch?
And
there's a Hellwitch?
What?
From Florida?
Yeah.
Dude, they
just released a new album back in like April or May.
I didn't know that.
It's really fucking good.
Oh
like,
man,
it's like they didn't skip a beat. It's like super, super good. So I've been spinning that a lot, and that Century album, that Swedish heavy metal band, has been like kind of in heavy rotation for me this year.
I don't think I've heard that.
No, it's really good. It may be my favorite album that came out this year.
Yeah, I checked it on your recommendation, Lucas. That was really good.
Yeah, it's just such a solid like heavy metal record. It's one that makes me want to like punch holes in the walls whenever I hear it. So, it's kind of good when it gets you moshing in your bedroom.
Who released it? The Century one.
Gosh, who released it? Electric Assault.
Oh, I'm not familiar. Okay.
I think they're I think they're a European label. I don't know who did distribution over here. I had to order the CD like directly from them, and it came like 7 weeks later.
Oh, right.
After it dropped.
Yeah. Yeah, I was listening to the only thing I listened to today was Questmaster, the band. It's a dungeon synth from Australia. That's all I had that on rotation today. I listened to the band Armory the other day. I'm not sure. I don't know where they're from. It's a heavy metal, like speed kind of heavy metal.
I think they're from Finland. Aren't they from Finland?
I'm not sure. Not Armor. It's not the band Armor.
No, Armory. They did. I didn't listen to the newest one, but they did one maybe back in like 2017, 2018, maybe 2019.
Oh, okay.
That one I had picked up and really did like. Yeah, it's like kind of like speed thrash metal, but with singing,
Yeah, the singing is like it gets kind of harsh sometimes, but it's also clean at times. Yeah. Just very distinct sounding. But I was listening to them yesterday. That's Dying Victims from Germany put it out.
Yep.
It's good. It's a good album. I liked a lot of the Dying Victims releases this year. I'd say a couple of them were definitely on pretty good rotation for me this year.
Yeah, I picked up that Free Road, that album they put out. The band Free Road, it's like a Mexican band, I think.
Oh, okay.
Came out back in January. It's kind of a mix of like 70s proto metal and new album style stuff, and it was pretty good. I like that album a lot. I do like kind of pick up stuff from them.
I've heard. I didn't pick that one up, but I remember seeing it and hearing part of it.
It just had like good chord. They have like good kind of like vocal harmony choruses and stuff, which you don't hear a lot of from like modern metal bands. And they just sounded they just hit like that 70s kind of proto metal, which is like a zone I really like. I like that feel.
There's I'm trying to remember. There's a band I picked up that kind of plays in that style, and I think it starts with an A. I think they just recently got back together. It's the album I have. I think it's from the 80s. I can't remember what the name of the band is. It's been a while since I've listened to it, but it's kind of like what you're describing, Lucas.
Yeah.
Really good stuff though. Very catchy melodic tunes, for sure. That's funny, Lucas. I would never have pegged you as a traditional heavy metal type dude.
I love trad metal and like hard rock. Big huge fan of AOR. I love a lot of like 70s and 80s AOR.
Speaking of my soul, dude,
it's a lot of Journey and Survivor over here.
Really?
Strange Ways. That's another favorite of mine. Jolyn Turner, his first solo album. Oh, that's some of my shit. The stuff the kids call yacht rock. Yeah, whatever. It's good.
What is AOR? I never heard of that expression.
It's album-oriented rock or arena-oriented rock. So shit like Journey and like Toto and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I mean I grew up on some of that. Yeah, Toto and
Toto.
Asia. Yeah.
Yeah, Asia. Exactly. Yep. Another good one. Foreigner.
Yeah. I remember listening to some of it. My parents, have all that stuff on vinyl. So I kind of grew up around some of that. I tend to go more for like the new wavy type stuff though. If we're talking 80s, I tend to gravitate.
I also love that stuff too. I think the most recent thing I was listening to was either Tears for Fears, Songs from the Big Chair, or Simple Minds, New Gold Dream.
Nice.
New Gold Dream is like a top New Romantics era 80s kind of new wave album for me. Like synth pop. I fucking love that stuff too.
Tears for Fears definitely is a frequent listen for me as well.
That's a perfect album right there, man.
One band that I would say probably one of my favorite albums that came out this year is Transylvanian Recordings product is a band called False Figure.
Okay.
They put a full length out, and it's one of those albums where every song is amazing. It's definitely it's I don't want to say synth pop per se at all. It's more like leans heavily into like gothic rock territory, but with a lot of post punk. Probably I would actually probably say more post punk with gothic rock like undertones. But dude, every song is so good on their on the last record they put out.
I'll have to check that one out. Like another album from this year that I've been spinning a lot is I think it's maybe their third full length, a band called Body of Light, and I think
I've got their stuff.
they're from somewhere in the Southwest. This recent album, it's on Deus Records. Like they put out a lot of they put out Drab Majesty, stuff like that.
Yeah, I've got a lot of their stuff.
Yeah, that Body of Light record though, this one, like they've been kind of known for being kind of really into Depeche Mode, you know.
Yeah.
But this album, it's got I swear some real solid Tears for Fears influence and Duran Duran. There's a song on there that would fit on Rio, you know.
That's really, is this this is a new one? The new Body of Light?
Yeah, it just came out. Yeah, it came out. I want to say back maybe the beginning of the summer.
Man, I didn't like it. I listened to it once. I was like,
I loved it. As soon as I heard it, I'm like, oh, this is it. This is my I'm into this.
Dude, I love the one that came out before it.
The Time to Kill.
Yeah, I love that album.
Yeah, I like that album too.
That to me is my favorite by them that I've heard at least. The new one, dude, maybe I'll have to go back and listen to it again. It just didn't do anything for me.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting too how things hit people really, really differently. You know, the same album. I heard it was oh, I love this. I actually was just listening to it the other day.
Do you like Nuovo Testamento from Italy?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I actually don't think they're not from Italy. They're from California.
Did they move? I thought they're Italian based.
No, their style is Italo, but I think they're from California. I think they're in the West Coast.
Oh, dude, I didn't know that. Okay, I know.
Yeah, someone was telling me that the guys in that band are in a bunch of other hardcore bands, hardcore punk bands.
Yeah,
or something. Their members are do other stuff.
Yeah, horror. Have you heard Horror Vacui? I don't know if I'm saying.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, I think one of the dudes play drums in that band or something.
Okay.
And that band's actually really good too. It's good punk goth type.
Yeah, stuff. A little more goth, kind of almost death rock kind of thing.
Yeah, very much in the death rock territory. That's funny that we're talking about
here. Caroline Harrison, what's up, guys?
Oh, what's up?
Hey, cheers, Caroline.
What's
Thanks for stopping in.
See, Daniel's on here too. Hey, Daniel, what's up?
We'll do a little.
We have another False Figure fan in the comments here. Yeah,
man, you guys are quick.
Yeah, it's funny that we're talking about this because obviously metal's my wheelhouse for sure.
Right.
But I do listen to some other things on occasion outside of metal.
So in terms of the Exquisite Corpse themselves, Mark, what were some of the challenges, and then also what was your thought process in the sketch that you're filling in now, to kind of complement what I had, and then and stuff.
So we spoke about this very briefly before we got on here. I actually when I saw it, I was like, oh, okay. And I just didn't really think about it much up until today when I'm like, oh, I need to draw this today. I better think of what I want to do. I kind of had a loose idea in my head that I would probably include some kind of planetary elements and stars and things like that. So I kind of had that since the thematic was cosmic horror. I figured that would probably take place at some point in the illustration. So that was definitely kind of a one of my thoughts up front. But looking at the way it's formed, Lee, the little sliver that you've left here for me has a lot of symmetry in it and a lot of movement. So I'm trying to think of a way to contain that in a way in a way that makes sense visually, because I wanted to have some kind of balance. I like symmetry, don't get me wrong, but in this case, I wanted to add a little bit of asymmetry and let these planetary elements help strike the balance as well, to help kind of frame it in. So my thinking is, once I do the reveal, take the other parts off, I'll probably draw one or two more planets in the background, assuming that there's room for that, just to help kind of balance this out a little bit. I think having that common thread of that shape is going to help bring it all together. But also seeing some of the texture, you've utilized a little bit of like some thorns and sort of like almost like a crustacean kind of claw on some of your parts. So I've tried to echo that in two little areas here to help with the repetition, because I think having some repetition in the art is really going to be key to kind of getting all these to make sense together between the three of us. So those are just that's some of the initial thinking when I'm looking at this. But the main thing for me is just attacking it in terms of like, well, what composition is going to work. I see that it's pretty weighty, like in terms of like the width. You've utilized a lot of space here, so my assumption is that Lucas has probably utilized a lot of this area, and I need that to all come together. So I'm kind of thinking triangular composition, but I didn't want to just leave this all naked, so I try to fill a space in a way that seems reasonable to me. So I feel like when you're dealing with these exquisite corpse pieces, especially I feel like the bottom part's probably the hardest in terms of like, you got to show some restraint and let the negative space have some breathing room. So that's what I'm going to do here, is I'm letting a lot of the negative space fill the void. And once I do the reveal, it'll help me have a better understanding of what I'm dealing with, and that I can go back and really think about what can I add, what can I take away to help it make more sense as a cohesive piece.
Mm-hmm.
Bear with me. I got to run upstairs and grab some Sharpies. I'll be right back.
No problem at all. What about you, Lucas?
What about me?
What were you thinking?
It's funny because Mark sounded like he was very, very thoughtful about the overall composition.
Yeah.
And that's like, it made me feel like, oh man, I'm just kind of I'm just kind of goofing off here, because my immediate response, like when doing like an exquisite corpse, is like, oh no, I don't even want to think about what you guys did. Like, the less I know, the better I kind of think the exquisite corpse will come out, because I tend to think like sort of the purpose of a drawing like this is sort of it in its like awkward kind of disjunctive nature,
Right.
And so I have like like Mark was even thinking about like what I did at the top of the drawing that he's working on, and I have absolutely no image in my mind at all about how this drawing started for your portion of it, Lee. I have no idea in my mind. I have no preconceived notion. I have just a little bit of what Mark has, left for me to see on his portion, and I'm just trying to make some of his forms like blend into mine in a somewhat seamless way, but also I kind of want like the style change to be really, really noticeable, and the hand
really
to
want
be
to
really,
lean
really
into
noticeable.
it.
And yeah, I'm just like kind of leaning into it's gonna be an awkward beast, and I think that's what kind of makes these great. So I didn't want to like I said, I didn't really even try to guess what might be what this whole thing might look like. I just sort of thought, okay, well, I'll put my head down and think about my portion in relation to what I see of Mark's, and I'll try to take some of the forms that he's got and move them and mutate them into like the kind of forms that I would do, and just kind of go from there. Just sort of feel it out intuitively, I guess.
What's funny too is I know what the top looks like, and what you're doing is so abstract, and I think it's gonna be cool, like how you're describing, because I obviously made it. So yeah, man, I think that one, my prediction is gonna be like a pretty eclectic one, but hopefully pretty neat.
Yeah, eclectic is what I'm kind of hoping for,
Yeah.
I think that's what's fun about these is they're kind of supposed to free you up a little bit, because we get used to, as illustrators, sort of planning so many of our moves in advance.
Yeah.
And the fun, a lot of the joy for me comes from improvising. I always try to leave myself a place to improvise in any of the work that I'm doing, even the commission work. But this is like, even with the pencil drawing I have, it's kind of still a lot more free form and improvisational than I might work for any other commissioned illustration. So I'm kind of enjoying that. I'm kind of enjoying that freedom.
Yeah. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I think my approach, I'll spotlight myself for a minute here. See, I think I'm probably, if you think about it like in a range, it's like you're going all the way like just subconscious and free floating, and then Mark's kind of like in the middle. I probably was the most like, I wanted to be like a very like teamwork, like I want to try to like almost mimic for a moment so it feels like a complete piece. So I was going the other way, where like I was trying to make it very like, I almost want it to look like one person did it, but I know it won't. And like falling short is like totally fine. So I don't know. Yeah, I know that's going to happen, but I actually use it as an opportunity to kind of like study, because I followed you in each one, Lucas. So I was like studying, like,
Yeah.
okay, he's like, the way he does his mark making is like, it's more of a statement, whereas I do a lot of like gradients and like build up. You're like, you make one solid mark and it means something more. So I was like kind of trying to like blend that, especially in the one that Mark is working on. So it'll be interesting to see that bridge piece where your top goes into my middle. So yeah, very like different approach,
Well, also, Lee, it looks like yours bleeds off the bottom of the page, right? Is it bleeding? Like there's no you're not framing it in. You're just going straight all the way to the bottom.
So
like
off the page. It's like you said, the bottom's one of the trickiest things, yeah. Well, I was basically like, all right, I don't want to do legs, so I'm doing kind of like this evil tree trunk thing, and kind of come right down here with like the roots. And yeah, Whistle Pig, he asks, question for Lee. You mentioned you have interest in paintings by tattoo artists. Absolutely. Guy Atchison is one of my heroes. Huge influence in a lot of ways. I've been following him for years. Not only just like his art, but like he shares his knowledge and teaching and stuff really openly. So he's done a lot for the tattoo community. And I have his Biomech encyclopedia. I look through his work all the time, but like Biomech, especially the bio part of that style, done by really, really good tattooers. That stuff's very influential because I love movement in my pieces. That's kind of where I draw it from. Thanks. And any other questions? I'm going to be highlighting them, and you can direct them at a particular person. So if you have a question for Mark, ask it up, and I'll tell him what it is, and same for Lucas. And thank you everybody for joining in. We're at 22 people.
Thanks for hosting this. Lee.
No
this is never done anything like this. I mean, obviously I've collabed with a few artists before in the past, but it's either through mail, or sometimes email too. Exchanging art files and stuff, and stitching things together in Photoshop if necessary once it's inked. But I've never done anything like this before. I remember having books like this when I was a kid, where you could flip through and you make all these different mix and match animals or dinosaurs or whatever, So this is just very unique. Never done anything like this. And I'm kind of the same way you feel, Lee. My goal is to make this look like a cohesive piece once it's completed. I'm less interested in everybody showcasing their own style. I'm more interested in this being a standalone illustration that looks coherent. Obviously, the black and white helps with that, but we all have our, like you're describing, Lee, our own kind of mark making skills, if you will, or techniques, and that's it. Probably show once we're done. dropping pens all over the floor. So any metal stuff besides the crucimentum you guys have been into lately? I didn't know about the Hell Witch. I got to look that up because I was
you definitely got to.
What's that?
So you definitely have to look that one up.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I think it was their debut. It was whatever it came out. I think it originally came out on Wild Rags or something.
Yeah, Syzygial Miscreancy is such a fucking good record.
I think that's the one. Yeah, I've been kind of into a little bit of like weirdo 80s, 90s tech thrash type stuff.
Yeah.
Picked up some stuff from Dive Bomb Records recently. Some relics I just never heard of before that seemed kind of intriguing. Nice. One band that I've been spinning a lot is a repress of what were they called? Suspiria, I think is the name of the band from Chicago area, and I have their demo tape. I remember, I think it was a little bit over my head back when I was a teenager, so I couldn't quite wrap my head around it, at the time. But the CD has both of their demos on it, and including the first demo, which I didn't have either second one. And the first one is just, I mean, both are good, but man, that first demo just kicks so much ass. It's really good, technical death thrash type stuff.
Nice.
Dive Bomb did the repress on that, so I've been spinning that a lot.
Got a question.
If you like Hell Witch.
Yeah.
What's that?
No, that sounds like a good recommendation. Death thrash is kind of my jam, like what I usually want to reach if I'm like, man, I'm in a death metal mood. I want it really fast. I'm gonna have to spin some death thrash. Like anybody who knows me knows that that's kind of a thing that I'm always wanting to listen to, always like wanting to talk about.
Sure.
I had a question for Mark. How did you feel when you were painting the cover for Star Path, since it's your first time doing a colored painting in many years?
So what I did with that was just to give people an idea of the process. I worked closely with Phantom Slaughter on getting that worked up. He was acted more or less as like an art director on it, which is cool. I was always grateful because I want to make sure I'm capturing, and obviously Dream Unending too. Derek from Dream Unending sent me some references to go by, and all that stuff is very helpful. It helped me kind of figure out my color palette. I'm just trying to capture the essence of both bands, what they want to portray with their music visually. So obviously I take all that into consideration, but I think what I liked about it most was sort of like this journey into the unknown. One of the things I did to kind of get going on it was once a sketch, I gave it I think 4 or 5 thumbnail sketches, really loose thumbnail sketch ideas, and the one they approved is the one that I kind of developed a little bit. And what I did with once the sketch was approved is I actually had a canvas printed. It would say I want to say it's like 36 by 36 inches is the size of the painting, and I had 2 of the canvases printed with the sketch on it, a blue line of the sketch, so that would help me with my guidelines, because I was a little fearful of trying to reproduce what I had worked up on paper back onto a larger scale canvas. I didn't think it would translate well. I think I didn't trust myself enough to translate it as well as I probably would like to. So the blue line print helped as a guide. However, putting the paint on the canvas, it's just I enjoyed it. It was very very therapeutic in a way, because it forced me out of my comfort zone. Because a lot of the ink stuff I do is just like quick turn. I got to get something out fast, and it's just I can kind of do it mindlessly in a way. I don't have to think hard about it. Whereas painting, I actually had to think about what I'm doing, make very purposeful decisions in terms of how I'm executing. I had to go and I think at a couple points I had researched on YouTube how other artists would attack things like, well, how do you paint space? How do you paint an ocean? Things like that, that helped kind of give me a sense of, well, this is maybe the approach I need to take, because I haven't painted in color in what 30 years, 20 years or something like that. 20 years probably since college. It was a good way to sort of step outside my comfort zone. I really enjoyed it. I did when I had the blue line canvases printed. I had 2 printed, so I have actually one canvas that just has a sketch on it, and that's it. And I had a backup just in case it didn't go the way I wanted it to go. But there were a couple of redos on some of the parts on the painting, just trying to get it to where it needed to be. So there's a lot of work that just ended up getting covered up again with paint. Luckily, it still worked out okay. I was content with the final result. It's not something that I felt like really blown away by or like 100% confident in, but it was enough to say like, okay, it's finished. I think I could say it's done. Where, with ink, my intuition tells me immediately, oh, this is complete. But with the painting, I had to stew on it a little bit longer. It also took longer to execute. It was one of those things where, I might spend 4 or 5 hours in a day working on it. Whereas like I could have gotten an ink drawing done in that amount of time. Whereas a painting, I feel like I've barely done anything. So it took a couple of days on and off to get that thing executed. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the experience. I felt like it was a healthy challenge, and it's something I encourage every artist to do when time permits, is to step outside your comfort zone and try something a little bit out of the box, or that forces you to think differently about what you do. I'll probably do another one. I do have something in the works, kind of planned and uh, preliminary steps right now, but I will be doing another color piece, so I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for the question, by the way.
Yeah, and a lot of people are speaking how much they like that cover. Danielle Gonzalez, she said that the colors are the perfect pairing, in terms of the vibe of the record. I totally agree. I think 20 Bucks Spin did a really good job with the colorways they had to like go along with it.
Yeah, Dave did not. Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. The color variants turn out really cool. Appreciate that.
Anybody else have any questions?
Lucas, you've been doing some color work.
Yeah, a lot of painting this year.
You got a lot of stuff people. You haven't even been able to share yet. Yeah, Lee and I got to see it. Damn, it's really cool stuff, man. I know that people will be stoked once you finally are able to reveal the work you've been doing.
Yeah,
thank you very much. Yeah, I can't wait to show people, but it's gonna be a while before I get to show any of the paintings I did this year. I think the earliest I might get to show anything, and it won't be an oil painting. I did a couple oil paintings this year, but it won't be able to share anything until February, and that'll be a watercolor. Actually, my first like really full on watercolor LP cover, and I can't wait to show that one off. It's gonna be cool. That'll be February.
Nice.
But yeah, a lot of color work this year.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll be tackling a lot in 2024 color wise as well, or are you going to step back?
We'll see. I have a good number of jobs kind of slotted in for the beginning of 2024, and I think most of them right now are kind of like black and white work. If I'm recalling correctly, I have to look at my schedule. A lot of it is looks like it's kind of repeat clients coming back to get shirts. Yeah. I know I'm supposed to do something for Blood of Gods.
Oh yes,
next issue. So I think that's going to be black and white.
Cool.
And a couple of other things, but yeah, I don't know if off the top of my head, I don't think I'm confirmed on any album covers right now.
Okay.
For 2024, which is funny because I did like almost nothing but album covers this year. For some reason, it's like switched back.
Yeah,
it's not all T-shirts. What's that?
Well, what I was gonna say is what's gonna happen is people are gonna see your covers for this year, and then it's like a every other year thing, man. Because I'm telling you guys, like I saw these, like Lucas is going to the next level. So you guys definitely gotta.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Be inspired by it. Number one, it's not a competition, but I saw that and I was like, man, I got to keep up in my game, and it's a good thing. It's good fuel, but Lucas, his paintings are next level from whenever they get released.
Yeah, they are. And very colorful too, by the way.
Yeah.
The color.
Thank you. It's something I struggle with. I don't mind saying, like, for years before I went back to art school, I just did stuff in black and white and didn't really think too much about color. And color was definitely something I kind of struggled with when I started learning to paint. And for these, at least 2 of the paintings, I did, digital color studies on them. I photographed my pencil underlay and then sat there with Photoshop and, adjusting the layers and stuff to see what kind of color schemes would work for them before I settled on anything. And so I'm trying to be more intentional about color, because before it was like, yeah, it's not something that comes to me naturally. But I think I'm starting to get the hang of it. I'm starting to get the hang of color.
Got a question from Vimago. I do want to say, Mark, it's unreal how fast you are, man. Like, Jesus Christ. I'm still doing my outline, and you're like nearly done.
Yeah, yours is more detailed than mine, for one. And two, I'm not as meticulous as you two guys are. I'm loose. I'm very loose with my ink work. You get up close on my stuff, and it's pretty sloppy, honestly.
It's got an expression, in the strokes. I mean, because I have a couple of your originals, and like it's still tight though, like at least in terms of the appeal. But yeah, I know what you mean. It doesn't seem like it's overly calculated.
No, it's not.
The question from Vimago: do you guys read some Lovecraft stuff or something wicked and horror to get inspired, or is it mostly just the music, or perhaps even movies, or really all the above?
Neither for me, actually. I don't really read much or watch any movie like horror, sci-fi, or anything like that personally. But Lucas, I'm sure you're into that stuff, I bet.
Yeah, I mean, I do, but I don't, it's like, it's all in my head. I've been consuming that stuff for years. You know what I mean? I've been reading Lovecraft and horror novels and things like that for years, and watching movies for years. So it's just like kind of all in my head. Like oftentimes when I'm just drawing something, like I'll just be drawing either with like silence or just like a political podcast on. Like I don't really I don't even really necessarily have to like get like an atmosphere going. Sometimes I'll listen to music, but I'm not always in the mood for it. Sometimes I just want it to be quiet,
Right.
So I don't really have to do anything to like, generate a specific mood or get me inspired. I'm like, my head is already full of this stuff. It's always just kind of clamoring to get out.
Nice.
I typically, put on like really mindless TV, or I mean, I'm really into like the YouTube like album collector community. So I'll put on like Heavy Metallurgy or Melanie Loves Death Metal, just people talking about metal.
Yeah.
I find I almost listen to people talking about metal as much as I actually listen to metal, which is maybe that's poser behavior, but it's just like it's just kind of nice about it. Because I just could do it when I'm drawing. But yeah, I like watch like King of the Hill and shit. That kind of stuff just relaxes me while I'm drawing.
I usually listen to my Walkman or Discman, play a cassette or CD. Not that's if I have time. Like if I'm out like at the like Starbucks or something, I don't want anybody bother me. I put my headphones on. But if I'm at home, I'm getting up every like 3 minutes to deal with something with how about with the kids, or how about making dinner or whatever. So I'm never really, like right now, this is a gift. I never sit down and draw like this, at least for, more than an hour. Usually it's a couple minutes at a time, because that's just my lifestyle, being busy, being a parent and all that good stuff. So, it's hard to find that time to really concentrate. And so this is cool. I'm actually enjoying this. This is really nice. I'm locked up in my studio. I'm actually drawing in my studio. Usually I'm drawing at my dining room table. So this is fun. Lee, I'm encroaching on your little space here, man. I'm drawing on some of your stuff over here. I'm already
not allowed, bud. I'm joking.
I'm already moving around, man.
Yeah, no, it's cool, man. It's collaborative. Daniel, he's given Lucas a shout out on the spider monster that he posted today.
Dude, that was so terrifying. I saw that. Dude,
well, thank you, Daniel.
Dude, that thing was creepy, man.
Yeah,
it was all hairy and stuff. Oh, yeah.
So the thing with it too is it's supposed to be like a guy who was turned into a spider. So if you'll notice, like the limbs are like the regular like limbs of a person, but split in half. So like the back limbs are like one leg got split in half. So the foot one foot only has 2 toes. You know. So if you look at it, it's like even kind of weirder.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. And it's all covered with eyes. There's like different human eyes all over it.
So you flip through those old Ranger Rick magazines and you don't want to touch the page because there's a tarantula on it. Just weirds you out. That's how I felt looking at your drawing, man. I don't want to zoom in.
Well, it's funny because the client who commissioned that piece was like, I'm a little arachnophobic and I'm having a hard time looking at this, so I know it's working.
Yeah, it's working. What was it for? Like a game or something? Is that like
no? It was a private commission. This guy had this like idea for a monster. I think he's an aspiring author. He's been thinking about like writing, I think, a novel or something, and he wanted to, like a visual like version of it that he could like look at when he's kind of thinking about the story. So he came to me. I guess he's been a fan of my work for a while. It was really, really cool that he wanted me to draw this piece up for him. So we kind of like I was telling Lee, we got into the weeds quite a bit with it because he also has a background in biology. Like we both studied biology as undergraduates. So we were like really getting into the anatomy on that thing. We're like, well, should it have pedipalps like a spider has, or should it, should the head like extend out of the cephalothorax, or should it be more like a spider's body? It was really, really fun. Like I don't get to talk that way with people a lot, so it was kind of fun to get in the weeds with animal anatomy stuff. I really loved like arthropods and insects and stuff when I was a biology major. Okay. So it was a real treat to get to do. So, but thanks for the shout out from Daniel. Cheers, man. Thank you.
Do you take personal commissions like that frequently? Out of curiosity.
Oh, this was the first one I've gotten like that. It was sort of a really cool, different job. I kind of like doing it because it was such a different kind of vibe, Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I would love to do more of that. I would love to do like more creature designs for people. I've been saying like I've wanted to work for like indie films and stuff that people want like monster designs. I would love to do that. I would absolutely love to do that.
So is that something when you get a personal commission, is that like you just selling an original, or do they get to license it and use it on product too? Or is it just
in this case, it was just the original. He just wanted the original to frame and put above his desk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we talked about what the different things are. And like, so do you want to license this, or do you just want the physical piece to like, to keep in your house? And he's like, I just want the physical piece.
Speaking of which, maybe this is a good segue too, Lee. Regarding these pieces that we're working on, I know you haven't quite gotten into the idea of selling these or making these available.
I meant to talk with you guys backstage on the timing, but I mean. Go ahead.
My question was going to be, I'm cool with it. Like, are you guys okay with these being used for product? Like, if somebody purchases it, are they purchasing the original? Or are they purchasing it for use as well? Or we haven't really. Maybe if we want to talk about this backstage, we can. But I just thought I'd mention it because I don't care either way personally. But
it'll be transactions because the people who probably are going to be buying it for like the original, it'll be collectors. And then for licensing, just the three of us will have to figure something out. But I'm not opposed to any of that. I mean, especially if they turn out cool, and want to give a shout out, Nameless Mist, Kevin, he joined in. What's up, man?
Nice. Okay. Cheers, Kevin.
Caroline said with your spider drawing, the arms with like the multiple fingers were like effectively fucked up. And that's coming from Caroline, who like knows how to split.
That's awesome.
That's a high compliment.
Yeah, I was gonna say if I can achieve anything, if it's to gross Caroline out with some kind of an anatomical drawing, that's kind of like peak for me,
Oh yeah, man.
It all goes downhill from here, man.
Yeah.
You're right. All right, I better bask in this because this is my moment.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
We'll basically communicate over Instagram for the exact timing. It will be Tuesday, and the whole reason is just me and the other two. We just got to coordinate like the time for the post and stuff. But
yeah,
you guys will get advance notice on what the drawings will look like. So you'll see all three. You can pick out which one's your favorite, and actually in the comments tell us, because I think it'll just be an interesting experiment as we all touch them. So nothing's personal, of course. And then. Yeah, we'll just let you know the exact time of the drop, and each one's going to be $150 for the original piece. So it's not crazy expensive for original art because we don't want it to like hold people back, So I guess just keep that in mind. But I know it's also not cheap either. I don't want to speak out of turn there. Well, if we can, let's do kind of whenever you get to a stopping point. Show kind of where you're at by like holding it up close, and I'll spotlight each one of you guys. All right, Mark, let me pop you up.
Yeah, I'm about to hit the details on it. I apologize if I'm a little blurry.
Mark, that's looking incredible.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I'm just it's essentially just white. A lot of white happening here. I popped in some jelly roll to get some debris and some of the stars kind of popped in there. I'm probably going to carry the stars out through the rest of the piece once the reveal is done. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to start popping in some detail because I feel like my outline's in good shape. I got a couple dark hits here and there. I'll probably darken some areas a little bit more as I go along. But essentially what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start breaking out my microns and layering the cross hatching and stippling and little details like that. So that's all kind of shoot from the hip in terms of how I approach that. I don't have any particular way. I'm just going to start laying down some inks with the microns. So probably break out my 03. Usually tend to start with the heavier ones like 03, 05, and then I'll move into the 005 or the 01 or 02 after that. So I usually start with the heavier. I kind of start heavy to light in terms of my inking approach. Like this is all mostly the brush pen. I used a bold brush Sakura Pigma pen. I don't know if you can see that on here. That's essentially what I use to hit a lot of these areas in here. So time for some details.
That's really smart too, man, because I feel like one of my weaknesses sometimes that takes me so much time is I kind of do too much fussing around of like building up stuff where it's like I should have just mapped out the real darks, So I'm trying to improve at that in terms of just like, it's cool to have like a lot of different value range, but sometimes you just really got to have that like confidence to just go full black in some areas and like that courage, especially if you put a lot of hours into a piece. So I'm trying to improve on that.
I think you can also, at least for me, like I feel like if I got something too dark, I can always go back in with jelly roll and just cover it up with white and then just and I know different artists use different kinds of whites to use in their art, but for me, I just typically use a jelly roll and I can just go back in with like a lighter ink if something gets too dark. Yeah. Anyhow, you're up next. Is that you? Damn, is that dude?
I know Lucas is wild, dude.
Is that Lucas's that we're looking at?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Mark, dude. I want to say about yours, like one of the things that strikes me a lot about your work is just how graceful your forms are. And I think that's something that people probably don't like think of as associating with like Mark Riddick's drawings, but I think it's the thing that I find the most gratifying about your work is just how much grace and movement your forms have, even though you don't sacrifice any kind of sense of like texture or substance to the images, they still are like, graceful. That's the thing that makes me jealous. I'm looking like, oh shit, man, Mark just has such a sense of flowing form and like movement. That is, that's the thing for me when I look at your stuff.
I appreciate that. Thanks, man.
Yeah, that graceful movement to them and that form language is just really, really great.
So what's happening with yours? It looks like you're very spaced out with a lot of your inks. They're kind of like all over like a similar weight, but all over the place. What
So what I first started doing with this was just kind of mapping out where I didn't want to plug in too much like dark value, because I have a tendency, like a lot of people, when I have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And so if I start in with the brush, sometimes I want to try to do everything with the brush. So I kind of just used a like an 03 micron and mapped out some of the stuff that I wanted to kind of maintain the detail on it, wanted to maintain some of the texture. And then I went in, I'd done a little bit of brush work. I went in with it's like Cotman, I think 000, and just some Speedball Super Black, and kind of have blocked in some of that stuff. And now I'm going to basically start pulling it all together by doing, probably going to just use an 01 and an 005 micron to start pulling it all together with like detail and hatch work and stippling and kind of the smaller scale mark making that'll establish some of the texture, and that will start to establish like the movement of light across the surface. So I have my skeleton basically established. It's kind of how my drawings look at this stage. They do look very separated. I don't go in anymore and do hard contour lining. I've actually kind of dropped that just as a challenge to myself. So for this past year, I've been kind of getting away from doing a lot of contour lining, just diving right into some of the like kind of medium level detail work and value work. So I'm going to start bringing it all together with finer pens. So I've already started to do it over here. You start to see a little more weight on this side. I don't know if you can see that. But there's a little more weight because I've started to work some hatching and some different mark making into that. There's a bit more that can be done there, but I'm going to kind of work the whole thing at this level and then see what I want to adjust with more value at the end. So that's where I'm at with it.
I like that you just mentioned that, because I don't do that, but I like that idea of doing it. Just kind of letting go of that contour line approach and just letting that white space breathe and have some room to kind of figure out what you want to do as you move along. It can be very confining when you have that contour line just sitting there. It's maybe too literal.
Yeah, and I used to go in with like the heaviest pen. I would go in with like an 08 and like contour line the whole thing with like a pretty heavy contour line.
Sure.
And over the years, that pen has like gotten smaller and smaller and smaller to the point where they go, now I'm just not doing that part.
Sure. I like that. I like that approach. It's very different. Might have to try it.
Yeah, I noticed that when I was looking at your stuff too, where you kind of like break up your outline, and it does let it breathe quite a bit. So
yeah,
let me show mine where I'm at. I'm still kind of in the outline phase, but there's quite a bit of like detail and stuff. But it's like a pretty spirit kind of
nice
fuckery.
Nice.
But yeah, just kind of like tying everything, to this kind of like shape going this way. We have some negative space between like flesh branch things. I mean, it's stuff you've probably like kind of seen before, but I think especially with the bottom, I'm just really trying to be like the supporting element,
Yeah, I like that. I like that you treated it like almost like a tree trunk or a root of some sort. But I also like the interplay, the complexity you create when you start having those extra wiry branch parts kind of emanating in the background behind some of the other elements, which I think, because I do that a lot too, it adds a level of intricacy to the work, and I think in a way gives it just a more organic look and feel.
Yeah, it feels stringier in like a different, it has a different textural feel to it. I like that form language that you're using, Lee. Very
Thanks,
cool.
man.
It kind of reminds me of like Todd McFarlane when he would do the webbing for Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, the spaghetti webbing.
Yeah, it kind of gives me that sort of sense, that vibe. Nicely done.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. As well as people in the chat. What's up? We got Nev, Gruesome Graphics here.
What's up, Nev?
Cheers.
All right. Once again, any questions? And we're at 25 people sitting in. Thank you again. Really appreciate it. And we have so many good artists in the chat too. Seriously, everybody, make sure you're following one another. It's a good community and everyone's really supportive.
What kind of project? Is there any projects you guys are working on? You're able to talk about or anything like that, freelance wise, artwork wise? You guys working on anything cool?
I don't think I don't think anything I can announce yet. I'm trying to think, is there anything I can actually even say? I was like I kind of get told a lot, like, okay, so we're not saying anything about this until at least this date, so keep it under wraps. I'm like, all right, I'll shut up about it.
Jeez. That can be frustrating as an artist because you especially with trying to be relevant and current. It's hard,
and it's like, believe it or not, I didn't become an artist to keep my work secret, but
yeah.
Totally.
So it's kind of hard, but I'm trying to think. Is there anything I've been given the go ahead to say anything about?
Is there anything that you're working on for yourself, even? For your
well,
own?
I think I mentioned before. I think I mentioned to you guys. So I'm going to be contributing to the second issue of the Cursed zine.
Oh, right. Yes, Tyler's.
And what I was going to do for that, I think it's probably okay if I just say so. What I'm going to do for that is a fully illustrated version of Lovecraft's The Doom That Came to Sarnath, which I'm like really excited to do. And I'm like going all out. I've got it like mapped out, the story broken into 5 sections. I'm going to do an illustration for each section. I'm going to do like a little header illustration. I'm going to do little spot art. I'm going to do like a title page, full page, title page illustration. And I want to do little ornamentals for the opening letters for each section. I want to do like ornamental capitals for those. So I'm really excited to like do the whole book design thing. Like that's the thing I've been wanting to do, like a full-on book design. And so this is like my little chance to do it with a really short Lovecraft story. I mean, one of my, most influential authors for me, and a story that I really like. It's kind of considered probably one of his lesser ones, but it's a favorite of mine, and it's in the public domain, which is probably the most important part.
Sure.
So that was kind of my first choice when I looked at his public domain stories, and I mentioned to Simon, can I do this for the second issue? And he's like, fuck yes.
So what typographically speaking, you're going to be doing some ornamental drop caps and stuff like that. Are you doing any hand lettering or logo illustration to accompany it? Or
I think I want to do a hand lettered title. I'm probably going to do sort of like a little typeface design for it. It's not going to look like hand lettering. It's going to be like a hand drawn typeface, but it's probably going to be based on. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to ask. When you do, are you going to build out a whole alphabet or just the letter?
No, just probably those specific letters.
Okay.
Because what I'm going to do, and I have a couple references. I'm looking at like 70s pulp paperbacks of like Lovecraft stuff, and like the particular lettering that was used on some of those, like those old like DAW and other paperbacks have like that specific like 70s pulp horror title title typeface that I want to kind of go for. So I'm really just looking at specific references, seeing what kinds of forms they use for specific letters, and I'm just going to kind of make it up for just those particular letters.
Now, when you finish those, are you going to bring them into Adobe Illustrator and vectorize them, or are you just going to do scans and pop in like raster images?
I will honestly probably, that's probably what I will do with the title. I'll probably vectorize the title. And if it feels like I need the wiggle room with the capitals, then I might vectorize those too, because they're not going to be super, like they're not going to have like a lot of value work in them. They'll be easy to vectorize.
Okay,
but
sure.
I'm going to kind of go off the idea that I don't have to do that for the capitals until I find out I need to.
Right. Yeah.
If I can save that time, I'll save that time. And then if I have to spend it, 15, 20 minutes doing that, fine. No big deal.
I mean, I would imagine you probably won't. If you're working in InDesign and you export your PDF, all they're going to need is that PDF file.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's what I'm planning on doing, is just mocking it up in InDesign, having everything placed the way I need it. And it shouldn't, export as a PDF. It shouldn't be a problem.
What about your body type? Have you thought about serif?
That's one of the things I can't wait to get into, is to start looking at type for the actual body.
Yeah.
I haven't done that part yet. This is still all like planning. Like this is going to be something that I embark on next year. I'm not really sure when. I'm not sure there's a timeline on the second issue at all yet. It's just sort of like I was invited back, and I was like, "Can I do this?" And they were like, "Yes."
Is it color or black and white? Do you know?
I'm doing it black and white. That's how I'm envisioning it.
All right, cool.
that's like one decision I think that will keep things a little bit simpler for me.
Another question for you, in terms of how you might approach this Lovecraftian piece. I don't know if Tyler's publication has bleeds on it, like around the margins, so that it trims to the edge. If it does have bleeds, would you consider inversed backgrounds, like full, like a black flood with the white text, or you're looking at white background with black text, or mixing it up?
That's a good question. So for the illustrations, I'm like the ones that are going to be full page. I'm actually envisioning doing a border, like a wrap border on each of them, so that if there is a bleed, there is a bleed that can be a white bleed. Like it doesn't have to. They could do white or black basically. I'll just like cut it out in Photoshop so they could place it on white or black depending on what they end up wanting to do with it. I can make like 2 versions or something in InDesign, like whatever. But I was going to wrap border all of the page illustrations. So the title page would also be wrap bordered too. And I was kind of envisioning doing the rest of it on white at this point.
Okay, cool.
So but that's where I'm at with it. It's like I said, it's very much still in the thinking phase. I have a few small sketches and I have like a kind of a map in front of me on my little magnet board up here, but that's about as far as I've gotten with it. I had to kind of shelve it to get all these paintings finished this year.
Oh, sure. Yeah. That sounds like a really fun project, though. I like the idea because you're not only leaning on your artistic abilities with the ink work, but you're also now having to think of it in terms of 2-page spreads and how they float across the page. You're looking at the visual elements, the typography, everything.
Yeah, thinking about it as an experience, like the whole thing is an experience.
Yeah,
That's what gets me kind of excited. I want to think of it as an experience,
Yeah, it's the same reason why we enjoy record covers and why metal fans are still diehard hard copy collectors, because we want that experience,
Yeah.
There's something about that really speaks to our human nature, I feel like. In terms
I think that's also why a lot of metalheads are also like into books, because books are kind of the same thing, they give you a sense of immersion. Like I know I'm kind of like low-key a book collector. Like I really think books are treasures, and I kind of maybe even spend a little bit more money on books than I do on music sometimes.
Oh wow.
So like, and that's a thing for me. I love books, and I've always wanted to kind of be involved in like kind of, I don't know, book design, even though I'm not really a graphic designer. It's something that really, really speaks to me.
Sure.
So I'm really excited to do this. I have very ambitious vision for this. We'll see how much of that ends up on paper, but you got to start somewhere. You got to, you know what I mean? I had a boss who once told me like, let other people tell no, just do the thing and then let them tell no.
Yep.
Like don't tell yourself no before the fact. Like that's a good, I always kind of think that's a great way to operate. Don't tell yourself no, let someone else tell you no.
Right. Yeah, there is a beauty in having that complete creative freedom in art direction and something like that. Yeah. You kind of make it your own. And the cool thing is you're not doing a whole book. So now your focus is very narrow. You can concentrate pretty deeply on what you're trying to achieve in just a couple spreads,
Yeah, exactly.
That makes it a lot more fun in a way.
Yeah.
It's not like some 200-page cumbersome task,
Exactly. Although I have thought, like, if this illustration thing doesn't pan out, I could see myself being a copy editor if I had some way to break into that. Because I am quite a stickler when it comes to writing. I'm quite man, if they'd have had me editing this, they wouldn't have gotten away with some of this shit.
That's awesome. It's good that you're aware of that, though.
Yeah,
it's a good skill set.
It's a problem. It's fun though. So what about you, Mark? You got anything you can talk about? Yay or nay?
I'm trying to, speaking of pubs, I am trying to finish up my own book. That's what it's made me think about it, because I obviously got to make choices too about how I lay it out and all that. It's very straightforward, it's just floating image on a page. I mean, that's not a big deal, but there's some other content I'm trying to squeeze in there. I'm just trying to think about, well, what do people want to see? What's interesting to show? So just trying to get that worked out slowly but surely.
So is that like is it an art book of your
Yeah,
work?
yeah.
Is are you thinking of like a theme to it, or is it just sort of
No, it's just a collective of the past. I think the last one I put out, the work went up to about 2016. So it's pretty much, I lost all my art files from up to 2008, basically 2018 through whatever we're at now, almost 2024. Not everything I've worked on. Some stuff I omitted, and some things I think are, I've been there's some unpublished work in it, stuff that got rejected by customers or just never saw the light of day.
right?
But it's coming together. It's it's cool to have that creative freedom. I'm still kind of thinking about, well, what all do I want to put it, in terms of like what's interesting to people, what can I share. Like in some cases I have some finished product, showing some finished product, like how the illustration was used, because I feel like people don't always get to see that.
Right.
How it looks in the wild, or
Yeah.
what it looked like when it was finally printed, or yeah, it's coming along. I've got obviously some commissions on my plate too that I'm working on. Luckily, the emails slowed down because it's December, so I'm able to kind of breathe a little bit and catch up on some things. But there's always something on the radar,
Yeah.
Lee, are you working on anything cool right now?
Finishing up a big piece, which I'll probably show in the next couple of weeks before the end of the year. I think that's going to be probably one of the better ones I've done this year.
Okay.
And then I have a whole list of like, personal pieces I'm working on, and then it's the channel too. So
yeah, that keeps you
channel and then personal work, and I mean I'm kind of passively open for commissions. It's just I just love creating stuff just out of my head and like kind of keeping it personal, but it's nothing like against commissions or anything. It's just the position I'm in life right now. I just really enjoy art as an escape, but I do feel like the stuff I'm going to be putting out, I mean, everyone thinks it's their best stuff, but I think I'm improving.
I do feel like, especially at my age now, that the best part of doing this is that ability to essentially meditate. You kind of lose yourself in your piece, and not, it's a state of mind that where you get cut off from everything around you, all your obligations, all your responsibilities. It's a great, like you suggested, a form of escapism. I think that's honestly what I enjoy most about it now. It's not always the customer I have or what I'm drawing specifically at this time. It's that ability to just have my own space, and just to enjoy the process, and that's it. It's very very therapeutic in a way.
Yeah. Nice. Shall we let the people in the chat in on the paper fiasco?
Oh,
you want to start? On me too.
What? No, okay, so I guess from my vantage point, I did receive one of the drawings. I think Lee, it was the one that you sent, and it came in, and you had illustrated on a nice piece of paper. And I always illustrate on trash like this crappy printer paper. This is what I draw on. Yep, I'm destroying my art. Look at that. That's what I draw on. Yeah.
Look at me, Mom.
These was drawn on a really nice cardstock of some sort. So I'm like, oh man, I should probably draw on something that I can send that over through the mail that's somewhat sturdy and won't get destroyed, going through the post. So I just turned around and saw an old box of cardstock paper. I'm like, this will do. And I started drawing on it. I already had my sketch on it. So I'm like, okay, time to start inking. And it was a little difficult ink on. It was kind of scratchy is how it felt. The tooth of the paper was a little awkward, but I was like, all right, well, I'm too far along now. I'm not going to go back. So I went ahead and wrapped up my little portion on the top and passed it along to I think it was Lucas.
He's not working on it right now.
Yep. And so, yeah, I would say the next chapter in that story is Lee gets like a panicked message from me, like, I can't fucking draw on this shit. What the hell is going on? Like, there's some kind of coating on this paper that's like eating up my pens.
Oh my
God. Lee's like, oh shit, like what's going on? So I had to stop working on it for a couple of hours because it was kind of driving me nuts. And I came back and I did finish the piece. But I think part of it is like I have a much heavier hand than you do, Mark. So I was like digging. It's like laser printer paper, I think. So it's like digging into this coating, and it was like gumming up my pens.
Oh, are you serious? Really?
Yeah.
Dude, I would have
I had to just I figured out not to push too much, and I just kind of powered through it. But it was really funny, and then I thought okay, well I'm like an asshole for getting mad about this and freaking out about it. And then Lee gets I sent the piece off to Lee, and like 2 days later, he's like, yeah, this is really hard to draw on.
Well,
dude, really
I
funny.
did one part of the reason I'm slow tonight. Well, part of it is because I have the least experience out of everybody here, but the other part is I can't erase. Dude, what? I did one eraser mark and it smudged and I could not get it up. So I'm covered up with black. So that's why I'm kind of, that's why I did a preliminary and everything, because I literally have been doing this without being able to erase.
Oh, dude, seriously?
No.
You know what? I would have
turn out good. I got a map here.
If you guys had told me that, I would have redrawn or just drawn something different.
I think it's totally fine. Honestly, one thing, Mark, I would say is honestly, we did that Feeded Zombie Infected Religion collab piece a few years back.
Yeah.
And you sent me the regular copy paper drawing that you had done for that, and that was fine. It actually honestly, that copy paper has the same surface on it as a good vellum bristle. It's just not a heavyweight paper. Yeah. So I had no trouble drawing on that. I thought that was great. I was totally fine with it. I still have that piece in my flat file.
I should have done
little piece of honor for me,
That was fun. That was a cool release too, man. I enjoyed
that. That was fun. I want to do something like that again.
Yeah. I haven't been super prolific musically lately. I gotta jump back on that at some point. Just haven't been super inspired. I've got a couple of things on the way coming out, or but they were just recorded during the pandemic, so they're old, but they just. I've had a finished product sitting down here in my studio for months, probably half the year, and I still haven't gotten enough off my ass to put it out because I don't feel like it. Just because I don't feel like people is that. Don't feel like promoting it. Don't feel like doing anything with it right now. But
it's bad. It's bad. Yeah, when you have something that you kind of put some time into, and then thinking about it just makes you. Well, yeah, thinking about it just makes you tired.
Yeah, I hate that. Dude, I spent time getting all these guest musicians organized for it and everything. So it's just it's not like I definitely spent a lot of time on it, and I'm just too lazy to get up and put it out. All I got to do is put on my Bandcamp. My Bandcamp is pretty much ready to go. I just got to click, available or whatever, release.
Right.
I just haven't taken the time to do it. But yeah, I'd be down to do another split or something at some point. Maybe it's one of your other side projects or something that you're working on.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to do some more Infected Religion stuff. I haven't had a really good recording situation out here since the new place that we moved into. I need to kind of think about how to just sort of audio prep the basement where I'm at. It doesn't sound super great down there. The old place I had, I didn't do anything to, and it sounded fine. But this basement's really long and narrow.
Oh,
so it's really kind of hard and echoey sounding in there because it's all just concrete and stone walls.
Is it the drums that's hard to record? Is it the drums?
Yeah, it's the drums. It's kind of a pain in the butt. It's not I'm not a pain in the butt recording them. It's just getting a good enough sound that I feel comfortable trying to get something on tape.
Sure.
So I just had to kind of, once again, it's the same thing as you. I got to knuckle down and do it. When I think about it, I'm like, yeah, man, I got to do that. And then I'm just but I'm tired.
Yeah, that's right.
But I'm tired. And I would rather eat these. I'd rather eat these potato chips and sit on the couch. So I think I'm just going to do that.
Watch the Barbie movie.
You watch the Barbie movie.
Yeah, man. So I've got a Macabre album finished too that Adrian and I worked on during the pandemic also. And that stuff's kind of it's a little bit out there. It's very avant-garde. It's just like weirdo death metal, but it's very influenced again by some of that 80s tech thrash stuff. So it's a little bit it's just weird, man. Like the vocal structures are unusual, the riffing is a little bit unusual. It just if you're into that, like I don't know, I don't even know what to compare it to. Nocturnus maybe that kind of
okay
death metal. It's sort of along those lines in a way, but
that's cool.
Yeah, so I got to shop that around to some record labels because I don't want to release it. The cover is all done. Dan Seagrave painted the cover, like everything's done.
That's freaking sweet.
Yeah, it's all ready to go. I just need to find a label, so I got to shop that around at some point soon. I think my bandmate Adrian's sent it to a couple labels for consideration, but I gotta shop that around. So I mean, I've done a little bit, but that's musically like for Vetted Zombie. I haven't really done much at all that I can move forward with at this point. I'm kind of taking a break from it, just focusing on the art stuff and family, so
right.
It's just busy. It's like doing music's probably like my last priority. I'm too busy with other things to give it the attention that it needs.
It's understandable. There's so much stuff to pay attention to, unfortunately.
Yeah. And Lee, have you've done anything musically, or no? You're just completely out of the circuit on that one, or
yeah, that dream has died.
You don't think?
Nah, man. If anything, dude, I would literally off the record, not really even promote it. I'd fucking just play I'd play Toto covers at Applebee's, dude. That's what I'd do. Just fucking being like a stupid cover band that knows it's not going anywhere.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that, man. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I would say that the bands that I actually play in, we are just like one rung above being stupid cover bands that don't go anywhere. we are stupid fast hardcore bands that don't go anywhere. That's what we are. But you know what? We have a lot of fun, and that's kind of the point.
I do miss that stuff though. Yeah, like the camaraderie and the fun, but that's kind of what I'm trying to do with the channel too, is like get camaraderie with people.
But I have to say, like, this is such a great, like, kind of way to add a social element to what we do. I think we've talked about it before, but a lot of us are just kind of isolated in our studios, and it's hard to connect sometimes, like in a regular way with other artists. And this has been such a great thing for me, particularly. I've really, really enjoyed like getting to like talk with you and Mark, and to talk with Caroline, and I really, really looking forward to potentially being on more panels, because it's apart from like, it's like networking, sure, but it's more just like, oh, there's like other people who like know what I'm going through, you know what I mean? Like know how like what's fun about it and what sucks about it, and like we can give each other advice, you like learn so much from each other. That you don't learn stuff as fast when you're trying to do it yourself. You know what I mean? You learn like more quickly when other people are involved.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of curious. Did you ever touch on some of these subject matters outside of when you were teaching, Lucas? Did you ever touch on this with some of your students? The sort of the headaches or the hurdles that you have to contend with as an artist?
Well, it's interesting you asked that, because like I haven't. Most of my time teaching, I have taught like studio art classes, so like not necessarily students who are interested in becoming illustrators. I had a couple of students who were interested in becoming illustrators who would kind of come to me with specific questions like after the fact.
Yeah.
But even then, like when I taught at Notre Dame, I would say like the vast majority of my students weren't majors, like they weren't art majors. They were taking drawing or painting as an elective. And maybe they were taking a bunch of drawing and painting classes, but they were still like, science majors or like English majors or whatever, law students.
Wow. Okay.
Pre-law or whatever. So I didn't really have much call to like talk too much about career stuff with them.
Yeah.
And the students who were majors were mostly looking to become like studio artists, like gallery artists.
Okay.
And that's what I was trained as. So I could speak to like what you needed to do. But that has not turned out to be my actual career. Like I moved away from being a gallery artist quite a big distance. So I did talk about that stuff when I taught at PCAD, when I taught at the Pennsylvania College of Art and Design. I taught in the illustration department, so I had a lot of illustration students. Even then, a lot of them were more interested in becoming like concept artists for like, video game companies or film studios.
Sure.
So that career path is way different than what we're doing here, Some of them are interested in like, they want to put out graphic novels. I'm like, I know nothing about publishing. Like, I don't know anything about that. But I can tell you, what if you want to work with some underground death metal bands, I can tell you what that business model is like,
Super lucrative.
But not too many of my students were like, oh yeah, that we want to know about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of had to keep my advice on that stuff more general. The one thing I do talk about is what I'm talking about, like what we're talking about now, how when you get out of school, you suddenly become really isolated, right? That network that you have in school, you kind of take for granted when you're a student, and you don't have that when you're at school. You don't have classes anymore. You don't see people every day. You're in your own, you're in your own place in life, and you're kind of sometimes, shut in a little bit,
Oh yeah.
And so that's a hard thing, like figuring out ways around that to actually not end up feeling really alone or really isolated. It can be hard to do, no one really teaches you how to maintain like a kind of professional social network. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like very few people even tell
learned a lot of
that
cool shit from you, Lucas. Sorry.
What's that?
I said Caroline says she's learned a lot of cool shit from you.
Well, I've learned a lot of cool shit from Caroline, so I'm glad to have met her. Super glad to have met her. I mean, super glad to have met all of you. So
yeah, likewise. Yeah, you know what I found quite profound actually, Lucas. You did an interview with Cult Nation, a couple of years ago, dude. That interview was amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, that was Davey Furchow, who is in the band Dry Wedding.
Oh, okay.
They're like a cool, like kind of Southern Gothic, cowpunk, post-punk, noise rock. Thing from I think they're in Seattle. I want to say they're on the West Coast, I think.
Okay.
But he commissioned me like years ago to do their logo, and has been like a big fan of my stuff. And he and I have pretty similar taste in music. Like he's into metal, but we also talk about old punk bands and stuff. Okay. And he's like, I started writing for Cult Nation. Would you want to do an interview? And I'm like, I'd love to. So we got to have some fun with that, and that was a really nice opportunity I got through him. Really kind of grateful for that.
What I appreciate about that interview that you conducted with your answers, I think a lot of artists don't think about it or don't consider it about, how do you speak about your own work? What does your work mean? What is art? What does it mean to you? What message are you sending? Right. What does it say about you as a person? And I think you got into some of that with your answers. It's very philosophical. And I think it's important for artists to pause and be philosophical about their work when they can, I think it gives it a little additional meaning and purpose.
Yeah, I tend to think that that we're all like, no matter what, like whether we're thinking about it consciously or not, I think we're all like saying something with the stuff that we're doing. Because if we weren't saying anything, then we wouldn't want to do it. You know what I mean? We're all trying to communicate with our fellow human beings.
Sure.
And I personally am someone who likes to think very consciously about what it is that I think I'm saying. I say that like really specific. Like I may think I'm not actually saying that. Maybe I think I'm saying something. My word's actually saying something else. But you got to think about it though. It's always good to have passed that idea through your brain a little bit and considered it and examined it. Like, sure. Why am I doing this? Like, what do I think I'm saying that I don't hear other people saying, which is the reason why I want to do this?
Right. It's an epistemological question of why do I do what I do?
Why do I do what I do? Yep.
I think artists, need to think about that too. And I don't know that that's really common practice, especially if you want to coin it lowbrow, the kind of work that we're doing, you know, it's
right.
it's very trivial, and it can be at times, but you know, there's
I
a
don't think it's inborn to it that it needs to be. You know what I mean? I
sure,
don't think that that's like you can like think about this stuff, and you can like you can be curious about the world. You can read, and that can be informing the work, and it doesn't have to make it you know, some like hoity-toity thing. Honestly, for me, I think like having been kind of trained to be a little bit in the art world, I think that time is that's like kind of a dinosaur thing to think actually that there's like a high and low culture anymore.
oh
You know,
right, I know it
like
is.
that really isn't really a thing
Yeah,
not since the 20th century.
lowbrow.
So like even when people kind of talk about lowbrow art, I'm like, well, it's not really. I mean, lowbrow in relation to what? You like see some of the stuff that's getting hung in galleries,
Yeah,
you know, in New York, and it's like your work is not any like different from some of the stuff that's getting showed in galleries. You know what I mean? It's like
sure.
there's just the brow now. It's not high or low. You know, there's just the brow. We're all just making brow work.
I'm really into the unibrow movement personally.
You have the unibrow art. There you go. Yeah, that's what it is. It's a unibrow. It is. It's the high brow and the low brow have connected to become just a big unibrow. So, you know, make what you feel, but it's good. It can motivate you even more to like think about why you're doing it. I think like that makes me excited when I think about why I'm doing stuff, and I kind of indulge my curiosity in the world a little bit. It makes me more excited to do what I'm doing. You know, it's not to like prove anything about myself to people or anything. It just gets me more interested in what I'm doing. You know?
Sure. Lee, I apologize for the interruption there. Lee, I'm actually at a stopping point. I feel like with my portion, should I do the reveal and then just keep editing?
Let's not do the full reveal, but I want you. Let's take a moment to show where we're at with each one. So you're done with your section. You can move on to your personal work.
Okay, I'll just doodle some things I'm working on, but yeah, this is where I landed on it. It's,
Mark, I want to see you doodle some penises today.
Yeah,
dude, that I can tell you safely that piece right there is going to be the one that's probably gonna get snatched up the quickest. I think that one we had the most synergy, personally.
You can hardly see the blue line. It's a blue line. This t-shirt illustration I got to get started for the band Deceased. They're a local band from my area. Obviously, the first band is Sound of Relapse, so you know they've been around a while.
Hell yeah!
And I'm working on a tag.
Luck of the Corpse.
Yeah, I love that album.
It's a good record.
Just a self-branded. You can see my logo in here. I try to blue line that so I can work around it. I got it's a little tag piece for clothing for the tag hit. So I'm just trying to get this knocked out really quick, I guess.
Looks sick, man. Let's see where Lucas is at.
So I'm just kind of like starting to go in and do, I guess, the final level of detail on this.
Dude, I'm loving where you're taking this. Oh my god!
So I got like a little eyeball flower thing. I got a little screaming skull guy.
Oh my god!
A lot of little tangled branches and stuff. Like I said, I just tried to respond to the forms that Mark left. Like I think Mark, you were out of the room when I was talking about how I did the complete opposite of you. I did not think of these as fully complete drawings. I thought of them as they're going to be mutant abominations, and so it's cool if they don't work together. If they're fighting with each other, that might actually be kind of cool.
Yeah.
So I just did. I told Leah, like, I didn't even try to imagine what you guys have done. I just was like, I'm just gonna do my bit. I'm just gonna respond to the forms that I'm given, and then we're just gonna see what we get. We're just gonna see what we see. So I'm doing the detail bit. I'm actually probably gonna be done in maybe the next 20 minutes with this. So
okay. I'm probably like 30 minutes out or so, or I'll at least be at a point to do a reveal, and you guys will probably know where it's going. You know what I mean?
Okay,
cool.
Here, I'll show where I'm at right now, just so you guys can see, because I've put in quite a bit more black and stuff. So kind of like,
oh, dude, that is wicked.
Oh, nice.
I love that.
See those like dark blacks. You know, Lucas had these here, so I got to bring those in, and then these little spore pod things. Got to bring that back in. So what you're saying about repetition, Mark, you're totally right.
Yeah, Leah, I always like how you get some really nice value gradations in your stuff too. There's some like nice middle values, you know?
Yeah, thanks.
Not just all like kind of dark and light, kind of contrasty.
Yeah, I definitely do it intentionally. Thank you. We've had a couple new people in the chat too. Want to give a shout out to Moribund Art. That guy's super nice. We talk on Instagram all the time.
Sweet. Nice.
Welcome,
Cheers.
welcome. Yeah, cheers. And yeah, man, everybody's just loving what you're saying. Lucas, you're blowing minds, man.
Hell yeah. I blow minds for a living. Follow the opera.
That is your job. I remember you one time, Lucas, mentioning something about trying to get, and I can't remember if it was a personal conversation we had or if it was from an interview I saw you in, but I remember you mentioning something about trying to get, telling some of your students that, you know, there's more to art than just manga or anime, and
yes.
trying to steer them away from some of that. And it's funny you mentioned it because that's definitely generational. Like I didn't grow up with any of that. The Voltron was the closest thing that or Robotech was the closest thing that I recall experiencing. That Pokemon thing that didn't take off until I was an adult. So
Man,
yeah, same here. I was like probably a sophomore or junior in high school when the Pokemon thing happened, and that was like not, you know what I mean? Like I was chasing girls at that point. I was not really interested in Pokemon, you know. So I was playing in terrible bands and chasing girls. So that was.
It seems like a pretty popular phenomenon now. My daughter draws all that stuff too. She's really into drawing all that and playing the games and whatnot. So, what do you do to get your students away from that?
I'm not very successful, to be honest with you. I mean, one of the things I try to tell them, I try to make sure that they're not. I don't want to like I'm getting down on them, like old man yelling at them or something. I try to tell them there's like nothing wrong with it.
There isn't.
There's nothing wrong with it at all. But the thing that makes you an artist, I always tell them, like the thing that gives you your voice, it's not this thing that comes from inside you. People will kind of think that your artistic genius, right, is something that comes from within, and it doesn't. Like your voice comes from the like accumulation of all the stuff you look at.
Yeah.
Right. So if you only look at a few things, your art is just going to look exactly like those things and probably not be as good as that, because some of the artists that they're looking at have looked at lots of other artists.
Yeah.
But they are kind of limiting themselves to a very narrow form language, right?
So
I try to tell them, like, the more stuff you look at, the better your work is going to be. And it's not just that you look at more manga artists. It's not that you look at more Disney animators. It's that you're looking at more art, like way even outside of that. Every artist you look at, you can kind of find something to kind of add to your repertoire from. You can learn something from,
Sure.
And that's what I try to tell them. It doesn't always sink in,
But that's great advice, not just for your students, but for your fellow artists and for the folks that are watching this. That's great advice.
Look at as much stuff as you can. Like look at stuff that you wouldn't normally think you'd be into, because you can get something from all of it. You know what I mean? You can learn something from all of it.
Well,
I like to tell illustrators too that like what we call fine art, studio art, like that's often like the laboratory for some of the moves that we end up making as illustrators that become like the main things we do. Like there's a lot more experimentation happening in studio art, and if you look at studio artists, you'll often find things that wouldn't fly normally in illustration because people don't do those things. But if you could find a way to bring it over and make it your own, like add that to your repertoire, that'll give you a really unique voice, like you should be looking at all that stuff, because every weird thing you look at makes your art more unique when you start to, consciously or unconsciously incorporate that shit,
Now, touching on that subject matter, what would you say for you too, Lee? This question is for you as well.
Yeah.
What would you say is a prime motivator for what you do in terms of this visual language? You had to learn your visual language somewhere. What would you say is a good source of your initial inspiration and why you do what you do? What was it that made an impact on you? Out of curiosity, was there a moment in your life experience that you found moving, or is it a series of things? Was it one experience? Was it multiple? Do you guys have a memory or a source?
You're asking for like, what's our meaning of life? I'm just
No,
joking. Yeah.
just there is no meaning. Surprise.
I'll let Luke go
No,
first.
isn't the meaning of life 42? Isn't that the meaning of life?
What's that? Oh,
Isn't the meaning of life 42?
I don't know what the hell that means.
Isn't that's like that? I've never read it, but it's the Douglas Adams,
Oh,
the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, right?
oh, okay.
That's from.
Okay.
I've
No,
never read it, but I just know that that's a joke from it.
I'm just asking. Basically, what was there something that, because Lucas, you're talking about,
Over your leg. I got it.
These artists, they your students, and they're all coming to the table with their own vantage point, their own life experience, and they're trying to regurgitate that in their own way, or visually. Was there something that you feel like really impacted the way that you draw or what you do or your subject matter or anything like that? That's basically what I'm asking.
Like so many things, man. If I had to go all the way back, I would say it was the Ghostbusters cartoon.
Oh yeah.
I saw that when I was a kid, and that made me obsessed with monsters. And then like the ghosts in that show were like weird alien monsters. They weren't like ghosts of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that kind of was one of those like early things that like kind of broke my brain as a kid and was like, I want to make things that look like that.
Huh. Okay.
And I think I probably had the same experience that we all have. It's like when you draw something, like when I was a little kid and I started drawing, the thing that kind of locked it in for me and blew my mind was like seeing something that only existed in my brain exist in the real world now.
Yeah.
Like now you can't change it. Like you can't change it the way you can change the stuff in your imagination. Now it's like kind of real, you know what I mean? And that like being able to see something that just existed in my brain now existing in like real life in some way that I could show other people, that was like oh man, like after that I was like, well, I have to do things this way. It's the easiest way to make my imagination feel real or whatever, express my imagination. So that was definitely like a moment when I was a child where I was never gonna ever stop drawing once I started,
Sure. Did you get a lot of encouragement from your family?
Yeah, I got a lot of encouragement as a kid. I didn't like I will say openly, like I didn't get as much like material encouragement when it came time to go to college. I got a lot more discouragement from majoring in art when I went to college, which is why I ended up majoring in biology, because my family were not super stoked on me trying to become an artist. So I had changed my major. I went back to art school in my 30s, when I was, not like didn't have to, get anyone's freaking permission to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I never quit. Like I changed my major, but while I was a biology major, I still did a lot of drawings. And like my first real commissions were when I was majoring in biology. The very first like kind of big commission I ever did. It's not big, like not really big, but I did like a shirt design for Municipal Waste, like before Waste Them All came out.
Oh wow, okay.
So like way back in 2003. I used to talk to Tony a lot actually, and so that was like, I was still doing that stuff when I was majoring in science. Like I never stopped. Yeah. And I always had this thought that like, hey, when I'm like financially independent, I'd like to go back to art school, kind of do college over again, the way I kind of wanted to do it when I was younger. So yeah, I got encouragement up to a point when it became a thing where this might be the way I want to try to make my living. My parents kind of balked. I come from a pretty working class family, and they were like, I don't know about you becoming an artist. So I had to kind of fight that fight a little bit. Yeah. But here I am. It's fine. I honestly, like, having majored in biology kind of made me the artist I am. Like I wouldn't have that whole thing to fall back on as a big influence on how I draw and what I like to draw. Because I was going to answer your question, Mark, too. Like old scientific illustration was another thing that became a really big influence.
Oh,
like looking at ink and watercolors from like the 18th and 19th century in particular. I mean, that was a drawing style that I kind of really got interested in when I was a biology major, because you used to have to know how to draw to be a scientist. Like you used to have to know how to draw and paint. because you couldn't take a camera in the field.
Right, you have to demonstrate it with your.
You have to be able to draw the holotype of any specimen you find, and you're going to do that by recording it in your watercolor pad.
Sure.
In situ. So those guys could fucking draw and paint. And so that was one of the another big influence on me was like, that's a cool whole art history side, that's a whole side to art history that we don't talk about that much. It's like scientific illustration and the history of that. So that was another thing that became really interesting to me when I was a biology major, which is something that carries over into the art I make now.
Sure. That makes sense. It's pretty cool. How about you, Lee? Did you have something in particular that kind of moved you when you were a child that pushed you into the direction of illustrating?
Well, I mean, it's funny because you're speaking about my generation with like the penetration of like anime and Pokemon and stuff. Because like I'm 32, right? And like, for instance, when I was doing my interview with Joda, he's the exact same age as me.
Oh yes, I saw that.
So we had all these connections on like Digimon, Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z, all that stuff. So like, I'm not like a giant anime or manga fan, but it's funny. I've been getting more into some manga like Junji Ito and Berserk, which had edge and really good story. So, but that's not like, for me, it was Goosebumps. And then, like Thundercat, stuff like that. Dude, the Goosebumps covers. I mean, one of my dream guests, I haven't reached out to him yet, but is Tim Jacobus, the guy who did the Goosebumps covers, man. Because like I would see those, and then I basically created my own, Goosebumps covers, and I like pretend, and I like wrote the stories, and I was like 5, so like that was like an inspiration.
That's awesome.
But when I was like getting older, another guest I want to have on is Skinner, man. So when I was like in high school, I saw Skinner's art for the first time, and he was just coming up. Where did you see him? Like High Fructose. I saw High Fructose magazine, and then
that's killer.
And like High Fructose, man, like that. You're talking about like lowbrow and all that stuff. Once I realized like that stuff kind of exists, where it's like highly skilled, but like it's not all just figures. It's funny. I've been getting more into figure drawing and painting and stuff, but I was always like kind of like, no, I want to do monsters as an art form. I want to do creature design. I want to draw insects. So like the interest in biology I kind of share with Lucas, except I have no idea what I'm doing. I just like, so I was also obsessed with dinosaurs and insects. So like organic.
Dude, I've actually been, not to interrupt you, but I've been on a buying spree of buying my old like dinosaur books from when I was a kid, like finding them on eBay or like Abe Books, like the ones that had the really cool paintings in them.
Yeah, like
I've been on a kick of finding those because of my dinosaur obsession when I was a kid was pretty intense.
Dude, so much so. So yeah, it's really up until the last 7 years or maybe even longer, but like really getting interested in more conventional fine art. I always kind of rebelled against it, and like Robert Williams, who founded Juxtaposed magazine, and he's the godfather of lowbrow art or whatever. He's a big inspiration for me because he just broke down those barriers of like you can be extremely technically skilled and just like draw hot rods and shit.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I like that kind of stuff, and of course, tattoo art has always been a big influence on me, and I really like to learn about tattoo history and things like that. So all the shit that just pisses off my mom, who might be watching this.
Yeah.
She's great though. A lot of good comments here. Let's see. Oh yeah. Jonathan made a comment earlier too that I really liked. He said there's a bunch of current American comic artists who have a heavy manga influence, and they're always pulling from like different inspirations as well. Like I really love that stuff too. Like there's a artist named like Peach Mona Moke or whatever. She does some awesome watercolor and ink stuff. It's very loose. And Matthias Bergera, who did Coda, that guy blows my mind. He might be one of my favorite like illustrators out there right now. Have you ever seen his work?
I don't think so. I probably have come across it, but I didn't know the name. I'll have to get that name from you after we're done here.
He just makes it look so effortless, man. I love his art style. It reminds me of the 70s movie Wizards a little bit. It's kind of like that, and like a little bit of William Stout, like Ralph Bakshi, yeah.
Who was that? I'm sorry, I just stepped away for a minute. I was trying to find an old dinosaur book I had, but I couldn't find it.
Matthias Bergera, sorry if I'm mispronouncing his name. His work has been really just blowing my mind recently.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't think I was familiar. You said it's kind of like the Wizard style, that old film?
It's his own thing, but like I just see some parallels with it, especially like the color schemes he uses. Like he he mixes earthy tones with like some really vibrant colors. He's got a great eye for color.
Cool.
That's cool.
But I think that kind of stuff. Well, one other thing that I wanted to bring up when you were talking about some of your students and being like they're only looking at manga artists, and this is constructive for everybody, but like if you're interested in being an artist in the heavy metal scene, don't just look at heavy metal artists.
Yeah, that's
what I mean.
Yeah,
so it's like the same thing.
Like there's so much other stuff that you can draw from.
Exactly. If you want to have a unique voice, come from something else. Let's see. We got a question. How do you guys feel about designing tattoos or other artists using your designs? I don't know if that's a controversial question for you guys.
I personally don't care if other tattoo artists want to use my pre-existing work for tattoos. I don't care. Some artists are more particular about that and might care or want to charge a fee, and that's their prerogative. For me, I don't care. It's like not an issue. I don't do custom tattoo work. I just don't have time for it. But I don't have a problem if somebody wants to get one of my drawings tattooed on them. That's perfectly fine with me.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. It's nice when people like send you an image and like, hey, I got this tattooed, or hey, I got to tattoo this on somebody. Like that's cool. Like I'm with Mark. I don't have a problem with it. I don't like I don't really do tattoo design either, mostly because only a few people are ever really going to see that,
Yeah.
And so it's not really, it's not the same as like a t-shirt that lots of people can wear. It's just it's just not going to get me the return that I kind of need on.
Exactly. That's the same way. That's the reason why I don't take it. You're right, Lucas, because the shelf life. I mean, people say, "Oh, yeah, it's permanent on your body," and that's cool, but it's a shelf life.
Only if you're showing that part of your body all the time, and you are, only if you're in front of like 1 million people a day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Otherwise, the only people who see it are maybe you and maybe the person you live with. You know what I mean? Like, that's probably about it.
Yep.
It's also
like if you have to cover it up for work or whatever, you
got to really trust your tattoo artist, man. Like and like it's also it can be a kind of a dick move to the tattoo artist. You can bring in inspiration, but like you really should just.
No, I'd be more interested in seeing people try to do my pieces in their style.
Yeah.
I've always been really interested in seeing. I don't know if you follow the I forget his name is Nate something. He does Revolting Worship.
Oh yeah,
he's a tattoo artist, really good tattoo artist. One of the tattoo artists whose work like style really stands out to me, and I've always kind of wanted to see what would happen if he did one of my pieces in his style.
Yeah, Josh McClare is really good too. I don't know if you guys are familiar with his work, but he's done some stuff for metal bands in the past too. But yeah, I know you're talking about Nate. I've seen a lot of his work. His
stuff's really cool.
His pen and ink work is
his pen and ink work is very good. Yeah, it's such a distinctive mark making style that I really like.
He just did the album cover for Glorious Dead, the Marty from Heavy Metal.
Right? His name?
What's that?
Is his name Nate Burns?
I think so.
Yeah.
So you've probably seen his stuff then.
Yeah, I have.
If you just look up Revolting Worship on
Instagram.
On Instagram.
Yeah, I have.
That's good.
I collect books as well, like Lucas, but I collect a lot of like tattoo flash books and stuff. Because for me, like that's the other big inspiration too. Is I love just really strong singular images, and like that as an art style of like it's iconic and it's one singular thing. Sometimes that's something that just really draws my attention. And it could be really intricate or complex. And also I love seeing people play off similar motifs of like, doing big cats like panthers and tigers and shit like that. Like if you have like a unique way of doing it, I always found that really fascinating.
You kind of have a little bit of that influence in your work too, I feel like, Lee.
Yeah, it's very noticeable. It's cool.
Yeah, there's a slight like tattoo flash kind of vibe to your
it seeps in,
Yeah. I'm getting started. Sorry guys, I'm kind of going.
Getting started. Like drawing staircases or something. What are you doing there?
Yeah, I'm working on. I have a blue line of my sketch, so it's just a sort of like haunting figure, kind of a couple like maze like. I'm trying to keep this one more architectural, so to speak. I wanted to do something a little. Well, the band wanted something. They don't want we don't want a bunch of skulls and gore or anything like that. They wanted something just different, just deceased. So I thought, let's do something more like haunting, like. So that's what I'm doing right now. Yeah, it's more architectural in terms of the subject matter, but.
Deceased is such a unique and cool band, man. I love how long they've been running too. And King Fowley, dude, anytime he's on Heavy Metallurgy, I'm like dying laughing, man. I love how strong his opinions are.
Yeah, he's a freaking guy. Yeah, dude, Deceased was the first metal show I ever went to. Deceased and like I don't know who else is there. Gramble Key, Morbius, Incarnus, I think. I can't remember. Just some old shit right there.
Yeah,
I think maybe Suffocation, Dismember were there. I can't remember. It was like 1991 or 92. So yeah, it's cool to do something for them. I've done a couple pieces for them in the past. It's been a few years since I did one for them, so it's cool to help out a local band.
Oh, I guess they are local to you.
Yeah. Yep.
Do they still have Amos as the drummer? He's an Atlanta guy. He does a lot of the promotion in the Atlanta area. He kind of keeps the scene afloat, honestly.
Really? I'm not sure who's playing drums for them right now.
Yeah.
I know King kind of took a back seat to that. Maybe with a live. I don't know if King. I assume he records too. Their previous drummer passed away.
Yeah.
I knew his brother. I knew the drummer's brother, Julio, but the Dave, the drummer, sadly he passed away. He drowned back in his when he had returned home for a little bit into El Salvador, and I don't know what happened. I don't know what the circumstances were, but he passed away a couple of years. Right, actually, it was the week of the release of the last album they put out. It was the same week.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
Sad.
But yeah, I've been a Deceased fan for a long time, so it's cool to do something for them,
Totally. I'm actually making pretty good time here. I think I'll be. I can definitely show on this stream. I think I could definitely do the reveal.
Yeah, I think I'm in a pretty good spot with this. Probably about wrapped up with it for now until I see the whole thing. See what it looks like.
So since I do have the tough paper, I bought I bought 4 of these as backup and then 4 08. And this one's now just about dead. But dude, it had the whole time.
That paper just felt so scratchy, man. I apologize. Dude, next time I do this shit, if we do another one, I'm definitely just drawing on my crap copier paper.
Dude, I'm getting you Bristol. Just draw on Bristol.
Bristol.
My God.
I'll be more prepared.
I'll just send Mark a pad of it.
Yeah.
I'll just send him a pad of straight.
Yeah, dude. Come on.
See if he likes it.
All right, Daniel's hopping out.
I used to do exactly what Mark does. I used to do nothing but draw on copy paper. I have binders and binders of copy paper drawings from high school and through college. Like that municipal waste shirt design was done in mechanical pencil on copy paper and then edited in Photoshop to look like it was an ink drawing because I didn't know that you should use ink to do an ink drawing. Gee, what do you know? Who'd have thought?
Dude, I love that, man. That's so old school, man.
It was super old school. It was kind of dumb, actually. It's not just old school. It was kind of dumb.
It, dude.
Oh, that's great. I have a lot of drawings on ruled paper because it would be like, I was supposed to be paying attention in class,
Oh, yeah. I know
just how up in the margins.
Yep.
Yeah, I was definitely in trouble a lot.
I mean, heck, I still do that, dude. I'm in like work meetings that I don't have to pay attention. I'm doing Bernie Wrightson studies on my ruling notebook, trying to get better. He's the guy I probably study the most, frankly, nowadays, just because, I don't know, man. I feel like, Frazetta too, but just the people that make it look effortless. I also have been studying a lot of Delane Welding or Wendling. Man, she's amazing. I don't know if you guys are aware of her.
No, I'm not.
You've done some concept artwork and stuff, but just
okay.
Really good pencil work, and I don't know. Just you'd see it and you'd be like, yeah, she's that good.
That's cool.
Sounds cool.
Anybody in the chat have any questions?
How many people are in the chat?
We got 24 people still. We've been holding pretty strong around the 24, 25 marks. I've been really happy with that.
They've all fallen asleep.
Super friendly.
Haven't logged off.
Yeah, we're 2 hours in.
I say they've all fallen asleep and they just haven't logged off. Sorry. Well, hey, we're like chamomile tea for the heavy metal set,
You know what I do want to draw if someone wants to commission me? The Celestial Seasonings bear, but like, I don't know, zombified or something. Like, I'd love to
see. I want to do the Celestial Seasonings bear, but I want to do it like it's a 1970s Dungeons and Dragons illustration from inside one of the books, like sleeping adventurer. You know what I mean? Like
that's even better.
Getting cozy after a day in the dungeon.
You know what I want to have happen?
But still as a bear, just like with his armor hung up, like I think that would be awesome.
No, dude, I'll commission that. Have your art drawing right there.
I think Wizards should hire all the black and white underground metal illustrators to do their monster manual. Just do it all black and white.
Yes.
Every artist gets their own little creature to illustrate. I think that'd be pretty epic.
Be pretty tight. I mean,
make it happen, Lee.
Yeah, make it happen, Lee. You're the professional. You're the businessman here.
I'm your agent. No, I got you. Yeah, dude. Bernie Wrightson FPG years. That's one of my favorite art books. Definitely.
I don't know if I think the only Bernie Wrightson book I think I have is the Frankenstein.
Yeah. I got an OG copy that a couple months back. That's not cheap nowadays. But yeah, the FPG years book, man, that's maybe, I don't know, $70 or so. But yeah, it's really good. Love his watercolor and marker stuff.
Yeah, dude was amazing.
Definitely was. I have this old book that my father got me when I was a teenager, which is how to make and draw comics, and it's done by like a comic industry vet, and it's actually a cool book because it's like fully like color illustrated on the inside, and it's full of it's full of stuff from like EC Comics and things like that.
Nice. Okay.
So I never even bothered to read the book. I would just look at all the stuff in there. There's some Bernie Wrightson stuff in there, and there's like it's just like kind of a cool, just as a book, like it's a cool artifact.
That's awesome.
But now I'm kind of like, maybe I should read that book just to kind of get some pointers, because it shows you a lot of like drawing tips, but also has like writing tips and like business tips. Kind of interesting, but it's like from the it's from the 90s. The book from earlier mid 90s when I would have gotten that.
Nice.
Appreciate it, Metal Tempest. I'm gonna be that guy. If you guys don't mind liking and subscribing, that'd be greatly appreciated. And the whole reason is just because I want to keep this thing going, and definitely helps me know what videos are working and which ones maybe need some iterations.
Thanks for putting this together, Lee.
Yeah, thanks for all your hard work, man. Super appreciated.
It is a lot of work. It's
no problem, man. You guys are co-captains, man. Love having you guys on board. It's effortless at this point because I know you guys both pretty well at this,
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. I'm liking how mine's coming together now.
I'm just kind of like tweaking it now because I'm
kind of flying around.
I'm in a good spot.
Mine's nearly there.
I feel cool about it.
Yeah, definitely. I recommend all you guys, if you draw along with us, it's cool to like peek and look, but just pretend you're here with us. Get your parasocial on.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely listen to enough like podcasts as friend simulator. I'm happy to return the favor of being of simulating friendship.
Yeah, dude. One of my favorites is I don't know if you guys watch Hard Lore with Cody Young from Twitching Tongues and Bo from Harm's Way, but they're so funny. I love their dynamic. Highly recommend that show.
I haven't listened to that. No.
Oh, they have like inside jokes at this point, and you just feel like you're along for the ride. And James Balsamo has done some work with them, and that's really awesome.
That's cool.
James rules. If you happen to be watching, much love to that guy.
Yeah, man.
And he's super professional.
Seems like a cool guy.
What's up, Dungeon Lust? Love your Instagram. You guys, you
post some one of my favorite.
Yeah, you rule.
Sorry, guys.
If you guys want to follow another Instagram that does a lot of good like Illustrator posting, my buddy Jamie does an account called Arcane Sword, and that's also worth following. He posts like a ridiculous amount of artwork, and it's not just like fantasy artwork. He posts like comic book artwork, like all kinds of stuff. Like he's doing a PhD on like fantasy illustration and English literature. So he's like really, but he has like an encyclopedic knowledge of art, like comic artists and illustrators.
That's wild.
Like, it's insane, like how much he knows. So his account is kind of a great follow. It's Arcane Sword, and his icon is like something from Warhammer 40K. So he's like a real head. That's something I don't know a heck of a lot about, but he's like a real Warhammer head. And he loves bolt thrower.
Of course.
It's like always repping bolt thrower stuff.
Nice. And you know him from not just.
I know him through mutual friends that I met at Notre Dame. He is actually he actually works for one of my friends at the library she runs in Rochester.
Oh, wow.
Nice. Hey, see you later,
so
Fred.
She's like, you have to meet this guy. He's into like the same stuff as you. So we started talking on Instagram, and he's a pretty rad dude.
Oh. That's cool. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
He sounds kind of familiar, but I'm not sure if I've happened upon it yet.
I probably shared stuff from him.
Okay.
I used to do these exquisite corpses with my friends in college because I didn't get an art degree, but my wife did. So I got a network of illustrators and graphic designers and stuff. So we would do this for like fun, and I would always be the like, all right, give me 5 more minutes, guy. Like time it. So it's like you do each section with 5 minutes. I always be the guy like, oh, 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes. Nearly there though. Just 5 more minutes.
Dude, that's Lucas. That is looking so awesome, man.
Thanks, man. Dude. Getting into the white gouache now because I'm like, fuck it, I'll just do it because I'm kind of screwing around now.
That's cool.
Do you pretty much make it right out of the tube, or do you water it down at all for just?
I water it down. You got to get it to that. They say you got to get it to that consistency of room temperature butter, or even warmer.
Yeah.
I always tell my students that, and then I realize they may not know what the consistency of butter is. I realize like you don't cook a lot, you might not know what that means. But it's like the best way of putting in white that I've found. I can control it a lot better than I know. Mark, you're really great with those jelly rolls. I don't know how you do it, man. It's insane to me because I use them and they're just like gummy. I can't stand them.
Yeah, they're a little bit unpredictable for sure. It's hard, They do what I need to get them to do. But
the only thing with the gouache is because it's a gouache, it'll go on like seeming opaque at first, and then it will kind of gray out, and you'll have to go over it a couple times. So as long as you're not frustrated by that, this stuff is like kind of gold for me. This is what I found that I like the most. It doesn't bother me to have to kind of trace back over it a little bit and make it more opaque. And you can kind of fix that stuff in Photoshop when you run like a levels adjustment. So it's not like a big deal. It looks fine on the actual physical drawing. It's just if you're going to get it printed on a shirt or something, you got to get rid of all your grays. It'll even out nicely.
Looks like Punk Bus is doing some painting at the moment with India ink. Yeah, just doing a little bit of water there. Dalton, just thanking everybody. I think Moribund's drawn as well. So
sweet.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. We're all drawn together.
Drawing hangouts. I like it.
All right. Prediction time. Which one do you think you guys are going to like the most? Just based off of like gut feeling at this point.
The one that Lucas is working on, I think. It's going to be pretty crazy.
That one will be pretty crazy. I think the one that you have, Mark, is going to be the best one.
Well, you know what I like about it is the fact that the background's black.
Yeah.
I like to obviously like that. To me, it gives that kind of a finished look when you have that in there,
What about you, Lucas? You got a prediction?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Could go any way. I think it's any drawings game right now. I'm not a betting man. You know what I mean? I'm not a betting man. I don't want to play the spread. I don't know. I don't even know what that means. I just literally said what I think is a betting term, not knowing what it means, hoping that would make a joke that made sense to people.
Oh, so, made me laugh.
I don't want to predict.
Okay.
Prediction. I always feel like prediction's a loser's game. I don't know. I'm feeling good about this piece. It could be cool. Like I said, I have literally no idea what you put up there, Lee.
Yeah, you don't
and I have a very, very, very faint idea of what Mark's got in there. I can see like a jaw with some teeth, and that's about all I can really see other than like tree branches. So I'm honestly just really looking forward to being surprised.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. Dude, that's so crazy. Oh my god. Look, dude, that little sea, like even that little rock, like dude, it looks like an asteroid almost.
I just love
Yeah,
those.
I love doing that. It's one of those my like go-to moves, and if
Dude,
I'm not thinking about it, I'm
go
gonna put
go.
craters all over everything. I
Can
just
you
love
go?
to do that. I don't know why, you know.
Can you zoom in again on that little
Yeah,
crater thing?
absolutely.
I want to take a look so I can figure out how the hell you're doing that. Oh, so just some heavy darks at the base, some heavy darks around that semicircle, leave some white around it. All right, I got it. That's cool.
Yeah, you
Very
killed
nicely
Thanks,
done.
man. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Dude, I love that you didn't even have to use a jelly roll or anything to get that mucus in the mouth of that creature. You just kind of let the paper live through it. That's hard to do, man. I feel like
It's
you're
yeah,
training.
it's taken a while to get there. I just try to keep it smooth. I try to let it ride, you know?
Yeah, nicely done.
Oh.
All right. Nearly there.
I was going through the storage room here in our basement and trying to clean up a little bit. I found a box full of old underground magazines, so I was kind of thumbing through those a little bit earlier today, and I also found some old photos of some different bands from when I used to write for some fanzines and stuff like that. I'm tempted to bring them out just to keep you guys entertained while
Jeez.
while
That's
we
because you got a
do.
tortoise over here. Yeah, on me. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead and grab one, man.
All
I'll
right,
be down.
I'm gonna run to the restroom real quick, so
sure,
I'll be back.
no problem.
Sweet. Here, I'll move to mine. Sorry, I just realized I wasn't even on the camera. I move my paper so much. I'm not even thinking about it. So sorry about that, guys. I think right now, really what I'm just thinking about is like light source, having some strong blacks and these kind of vine areas so they pop off the page a bit. Just having some dimensionality to them, interweaving together. It's something I'm kind of obsessed with artist wise. Like I love things that just overlap because it shows that
Oh
dimension.
yeah, dude, that looks great, man. That looks so good.
Thanks, man. Yeah, dude, it's like I almost wish I could buy these fucking things, man. Because they're so unique, you know? Like,
Yeah, yeah. It's had all of our hands on all of them. So, dude,
yeah.
it's interesting to see how people hold pens too.
Well,
Like how high up you are, and you're actually holding it kind of like with your middle finger is sort of
Yeah.
resting. I get mine real tight and close up when I'm
Oh,
drawing. I'm like right up on that nib, and I've got like a death grip on it. It's just interesting to see how people do it differently. How they hold the utensil.
I definitely don't do it the proper way by any means. I mean, when I'm drawing, I'll do overhand too sometimes. I don't
Oh,
know.
okay.
Yeah, but
Really?
that's like big gestural movements because you
Yeah.
emphasize the shoulder. You know, I learned that from like studying some figure drawing stuff.
Oh
But
yeah, figure drawing. Yeah. Yeah.
when I'm doing like this like tight stuff, it's a lot of that. And then, you know, I have a pretty light hand like you. When I'm doing like these little gray kind of like light
Oh
hat,
yeah.
it's just like grazing the top, you know,
Yeah.
lifting up. So there's like a flick to it.
It's kind of funny watching. I was watching Daniel Sawblade doing his debut on his YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Watching him draw, it's just funny because he's left-handed. It's just so different, man.
Dude, you know what's hilarious? I loved watching that live stream. Anybody, please subscribe to Sawblade 666
yeah.
YouTube channel. But dude, I didn't realize that his brother's voice was like the exact same. So
Yeah.
like, there's like this voice over there. I was like, is he like pre-record it? And he's like, they have like the same voice.
Yeah.
It was
That's
cracking me
wild,
up. It
man.
like took me a second to figure it out. You know what? I think I might actually be done.
Sweet.
Yeah, actually, I'll do some really light stuff. See, I like to finish out with, where's my camera? Well, that doesn't show, but the really, really small micron.
The 005.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really like.
Yeah, that's what I finished out with that too.
Because that way your whites are truly white, you know? And
Yeah.
you have like that almost white kind of look in some areas. But I think when you like actually print on a shirt and stuff, that can be kind of lost. But that's where I say like you guys have more experience than me because you think about those things. I just think about what's right in front of me, you know?
Sure.
So for this, I went down to as low as a 003.
Oh man.
Damn.
But yeah, Lee, you're right. I never do that. I never use an 005 or an 003 when I do a shirt design. I don't go lower than a 1.
Oh, okay.
And I find that's the best.
Yeah, the 01.
That's the sweet spot. They can't get too much more detailed. I mean, I think like Phil over at Pyre Press could probably handle drawing a mine that has 005 in it, but I think if they're not using those like water-based discharge inks, it's really hard to get that level of detail with like thick plastisol, you know.
Plastisol is horrible. I hate plastisol. I hate seeing my stuff in plastisol. It sucks.
All right. I think I'm ready.
All right, let me move this ink well out of the way so I don't spill ink all over this drawing. That would be a tragedy at this point.
Question is the chat ready for the big reveal of these pieces? And we got to be very careful with our tape.
Yeah. Are we doing one at a time?
Yeah. You know, we're going to milk it for all it's worth.
Sweet. All right.
Yeah. Showmanship.
Oh, yeah. All right.
So who's going first?
Let's have Mark go first.
Okay.
And Mark, maybe move your camera back to how it normally is. Yeah, Morgan's right. We need to take another 30 minutes. Yes, Fred's back.
All right, I'm gonna give this a try.
So yeah,
is this what you want me to put my camera on my face? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Move it back and then pull them up.
Sorry if I'm making everybody sick with my palm.
There we go.
Sorry, gotta fix my camera a little bit. All right.
Start taking the tape off of mine too.
All right, I'm just getting the tape removed from the back of these things. This is gonna be so weird. What the hell, dude?
Dude, that's so fucking sweet.
Crazy. Holy
shit, man. That's fucking cool.
Dude, that is wicked. See, I was gonna ask you to make the planets and stuff, but I don't need to because all these floating like monuments. Oh my god.
All right, let's start from the top and kind of go down.
Oh shit.
Dude, I'm apologize because my camera's a little bit blurry, but this is freaking insane, dude.
Everyone, there will be high-res scans on probably all 3 of our accounts on Instagram.
So
holy shit, man. Your how you transition the piece is like fucking cool.
This is Lucas, you on the top, and then
that's what we
like what that skull, like arms and skull thing is just fucking sick.
Thanks, man.
Oh man, that's cool.
That's
holy shit, that's awesome.
Dude, it's so fucking good. Oh man,
I haven't even looked at it myself yet. Oh my god,
that's what I'm saying. I want to buy this shit, dude.
Dude, this is insane.
Yeah, Mike, try wiping the lens. Fred has a good idea.
My lens is. I don't know if it's gonna. I don't know if that'll help or not.
Yeah, I don't know if it made a difference. Actually, maybe it did. No. But yeah, we'll do the high-res scans for everybody.
That's
what I'm saying. I think that's the best one, man.
Dude, the composition's so weird too, because you got this open area, like just the spans of the width of the piece, and then it goes in and then it goes out, and then you have these elements here kind of flanking it, which is kind of help fill the space a little bit. I'll definitely go back in and like embellish a few things, but I don't think this needs a ton of work. It's pretty consistent. I do need to go back in with an 005, I think, to get some more gray hits because Lee, you have some really light hatching in your piece. But dude, did not imagine it looking like this at all. This is just over the top. That was cool.
So let's maybe just to milk it a little more. So Lucas, with the top there, kind of what were you thinking? Like what is this?
I was like, I wanted to do something with a planet in the background. I think I had literally just watched Alien. I think like recently, so I was like thinking of like planets, and I had taken a first pass at it and didn't like the first drawing I did and just scrapped it and started over. And the first drawing I did had like an astronaut in it, and I didn't really like the astronaut at all. I was like, fuck this, so that's not working. So I just was like, well, I just want to do like this the mummified corpse. So why don't I just do the mummified corpse and like just entomb it in like a piece of rock, and I'll just go with that. Like, it was just a like much more simplified idea. And yeah, that was all I was thinking. I was like, not gonna overthink it, just gonna kind of do what I feel would make a fun image, and have that like strong kind of vertical going down through the center to see how you might respond to it. And that was it. Yeah. And it gave me a chance, because it was space, it gave me a chance to do a black background, because I noticed that it didn't look like we were going to do a black background on either of the other ones. So I wanted to try something a little different for that third one.
Yeah. So. Yeah, for the middle on this one, I wanted something that, definitely kind of like could almost exist on its own too. But, I love winding shapes, and I love things coming at you with foreshortening. So I definitely want to emphasize that and like dimensionality. And then I also, like I know both you guys do a lot of like drawing of skulls, but like that's actually not a comfort zone for me. So I was thinking, maybe I'll do like a gorilla skull, and I'll think like prehistoric, like ancient alien kind of thing. So I was like going for like this like prehistoric type of thing. And then I, kind of keeping it with, I love different, somewhat like line weights, I guess you could say, but like the little space spaghetti at the bottom. So I'm going to highlight for a second. I want to show you some of my studies and my sketches and stuff. Because I definitely, that one took a lot of time of figuring out. So my first sketch was this. And like teeth, eye things. But the thing is, it doesn't fit the shape that I had there, because it had to be more horizontal. And then I was playing around with maybe doing bug eyes. I even had a drawing where, so I had this and I cut it out because I didn't like how I did the head. So this is like an earlier version, but I had like a praying mantis coming out of the skull, and it was just not reading right. It was too much. I was going overboard.
Wait, can you grab that again? The one with the window that you cut out?
Yeah.
Now put it up to your face. Stick your tongue through it, dude. Now it's finished.
Yeah. That's a real exquisite corpse right there.
It's funny, when I saw the teeth that you had created, I was like, man, that looks like a primate or something. It's just like a gorilla skull or something like that. I was like, that's weird. I wasn't sure if that's what it was or not. So I didn't want to. I wanted to kind of steer away from drawing a skull in this. So I was trying to think of the outer space theme, because this is cosmic. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to put some planets in there and to utilize those spheres to kind of gain some balance and fill that black space a little bit without being too bottom heavy. I didn't want the piece to be too bottom heavy because already Lee had a lot of width used up on that middle section. I wasn't sure how much was used at the top. And it's just such this is the thing. I feel like Lucas, with that planet base that you have at the very top, I feel like that helps kind of anchor it in a way. Because if you look at it upside down, look at that. I mean, compositional still works, right?
Yeah, it still worked. Yeah, that's great.
So I mean, that really helped it. So I'm kind of glad I didn't go too heavy on the bottom because of that. But this turned out. I don't feel like it needs a lot of post work. It turned out really well. Nicely done, you guys.
Excellent.
So just finishing out, we got Lucas at the top, me in the middle, Riddick finished on the bottom. I think we can move on to the next one. I want to say hi to Nick from Thralls of Metal. Thanks for joining in.
So
You joined right for the reveal, man. Perfect timing. All right. What do you think, Lucas? Me or you first?
I can go.
Okay.
I have it untaped. I haven't even looked at it yet. I don't know what it looks like.
Do you want to switch to face view, or do you think this would be better?
I can put it like this, and if we need to see it a different way, we can see it a different way. But it should be pretty visible. Let me see if I need to move my camera up a little bit more.
Okay. Well, this painter's tape.
This is different. This is really different. So let's take a look here.
Oh, you're already done. I'm looking at my own thing here. All right. Let's pull you up here. So let's look. This is my top here.
Dude, that's cool.
Oh, shit. This is so far out, man. Oh, my God.
This is the bottom.
Holy shit.
That's crazy.
I think this is the most, like, out there one.
Look at the composition on that.
The flow.
It's really, really like coiling and moving. You know?
It's
like got a lot of motion to it.
It's a letter S. It's like an S composition on that.
Yeah. Lucas, you tied that thing up perfect. Yeah, I love that skull shape coming out like the rib cage mark. Oh my God.
That's so weird, man. Look, I just the branches because what happened, Lee, is I saw the branches you had created, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to use some branches, and you use that sort of interplay with it. Then you're really using the negative space to show detail in a different kind of way. It's just white space, but it's detailed because they're all enclosed in these little areas and pockets between the branches. So, but you actually have a lot of weight in yours, Lee. You have a lot of blacks.
Yeah.
In your tree branches, which adds a nice contrast.
Yeah, it's very dimensional. There's a sense of depth to those branches that you've done, which really kind of helps push some depth to the piece. Doesn't feel like it's all sitting at the surface, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I think
Mark, I just always love the way you do those rib cages. Like there's something about them that they still feel meaty, you know? Like they're well developed and like I just feel like I could like stick my finger through them, you know? Something nice about them. Because they're like graceful. There's like always these nice like graceful shapes that you have in there, you know?
Well, I think that's kind of the most beautiful one and probably the most different from what we normally create too.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Really different than our comfort zone. So this one's gonna take me because I gotta be really careful with this painter's tape because this paper doesn't handle it quite as well. I got like an atomic bomb here, man.
That I really that Lucas, the one that you had there at the bottom, it's just I don't know. This is really cool. It's very dynamic. Yeah, I love that we all have a little bit of debris kind of hanging off the edges and stuff too, which kind of helps.
Yeah, it fills that white space a bit, so that's kind of nice. Like it also makes it feel like there's a little bit more going on, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm gonna switch my.
And then we all agree we can do some minor touch-ups before the scan. Totally fine.
It's cool that you're wearing clothes. Dude, I was kind of hoping that you would have some sound effects for us while you were drawing because I thought you mentioned that before that you like to sometimes
yeah, we didn't get that.
You can narrate it with funny sounds. Are we missing your voice, Lucas? We can't hear you, man.
I forgot. I muted my mic. Sorry about that. Sorry, I was saying like you guys were talking to me too much. I couldn't get into the zone of making sound effects, you know? all this conversation with human beings was totally distracting my
humanoid,
my amoeba brain.
I love that you utilize that humanoids in all your posts.
Oh yeah, I was gonna talk about the humanoids. Yeah. You're all a bunch of humanoids.
That's great. Did you tear it, Lee? Did you ruin it? We're gonna have to give it $25.
This is the most nervous I've been the entire stream, man.
I see a comment from Fred. Good going with the paper, Mark.
Yeah, agreed.
It could have been worse. Did you? We could have been trying to take paints to the top of a photocopy sheet.
Oh man,
that's a guarantee.
All right,
so unprofessional. The way I do things.
I'm gonna be able to make this work, and this one looks awesome. All right, let's see if I can. Try to think of what's the best way to do the reveal here. I think I'm gonna start this way. Thank you guys for the patience. All right, you ready?
Whoa!
Funny.
What the hell?
You're gonna have to go add some more darks in on the top there. You guys are so dark heavy. Mine's all light.
Yeah, I'll add a little bit. I don't want to go too crazy with it.
You definitely need some darks, man, for sure. That's pretty weird.
That one, yeah, wow.
It's cool though. It's like, I love how you did this like rib cage growing out thing. Like Lucas, you really did a great job in the middle there.
Yeah, I think there's a lack of control when you can't see the composition, the overarching composition. Like anything goes, right? It's just this composition's a little awkward. It's definitely diagonal, but the way it kind of curves up at the top, it's just so funny.
Oh, I think it's cool. I like this one a lot.
Yeah, nice.
I'll add some darks though. I know what you mean with like your top there, but I think beyond that, looking cool. So here, how about this for the people in the chat? Let's pull them up one more time, and you guys tell us which one you think turned out the best. All right, Mark, pull that one up.
Cosmic Horror.
That's Cosmic Horror. This is Twisted Nature, the one.
It's Twisted Nature.
All right. And then mine, we got Hideous Formation, right, Mark?
Yeah, I think that's correct. Yep.
Hideous Formation, yep.
We could rename it Awkward Formation if you want. No, I think it's awesome. Nice. We got one vote for Twisted Nature.
Yeah, I think
we got a bunch of fence sitters here. Come on, pick one.
I think the Hideous
Cosmic Horror. There we go.
The Hideous Formation definitely looked better once some darks are popped into my inks on the top there, man. I think that went really
particular.
I think what happened was I just went crazy with this thing. I went crazy with my brush pen and just was like, "Fuck it."
Nice.
It's the easiest thing to draw with on that.
Dude, that skull on the side there that you did, Lucas.
Yeah,
cool. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Drew Elliott. Are you familiar with Drew Elliott's work?
I don't think so. I might be. I might have seen his work.
He did like Morphus and Agoraphobia, Necrophilia.
Okay.
Yeah, he did a lot of that stuff. It kind of reminds me of something like one of his style, like the way he kind of approaches it. It's cool, man.
Nice.
Here, switch to this, but man, what a stream!
Yeah, this is fun. This is such a great exercise, Lee. Thank you so much for pulling all this together and making it a reality. And it didn't take long. I mean, about a month or two ago, you solicited us for this sort of thing, and it happened. I mean, we just finished it.
It looks like Twisted Nature's the winner in terms of the people's choice here, with Cosmic Core right behind. In terms of this, Mark, just hit me up and like if there's particular areas that you would do naturally.
You make the decision, man. I don't care. Like you do. I don't get so weird about inking over my inks. I really don't care, man. You do whatever.
Mark, I just totally noticed. I didn't notice before, like the little mushroom guys that you have in here.
Yeah, the fungus.
Totally didn't see those until just now. There's like little mushroom guys in there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see that, but it's freaking cool. They're like right on this edge.
Yeah.
Little mushroom guys. It's very cool. I like that.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep that natural element plugged in there.
It's cool. It's interesting to see. It's really neat to see.
Yeah, this is fun. Thank you so much, Lee.
Yeah.
I'll get this. I'll make a
all this
couple.
legwork.
I'll make a few edits tomorrow, and then I'll scan it and send it tomorrow night. You can have it to post for purchase.
Yeah, I think if we can try to post on Monday, that way people can see and they can try to make a plan if they do want to purchase, because there's only 3 of them. And basically, once they're gone, they're gone. So I do want to be very fair with making sure everybody knows when the drop's happening. That way, everyone has basically the same odds of getting it.
And Lucas, I'll CC you with the art too. So ideally, we all get the same art to post on our social media.
Yeah,
exactly. That sounds great. Yeah, I'll try to scan this tomorrow. I'm going to be up here putting a clear coat on my 2 paintings, so I'll just scan them when I do that tomorrow.
Cool.
Well, sweet. Well, thank you, everybody who's been in the chat. This has been so much fun. Yeah, I'll try to keep things like this going. This is the first live show. I'm still kind of figuring that out. But in terms of having group shows, I mean, I get a ton of joy out of them. So we're going to keep doing that. But yeah, thank you, everyone in the chat. Mark, Lucas, you guys rule.
Yeah, it was fun.
Inspired me to be a better artist. So really appreciate that.
Thank you both.
Yeah,
thank you both for a wonderful time.
Yeah.
And for a lot of fun, honestly.
Yeah. And thanks for
I'm disappointed we didn't draw any penises today, but I guess there's always future exquisite corpses that will just be penis drawings, right? We could totally do that, right? The theme will be penis. We can just
Oh man. All right, guys. You guys stay on just for a minute. Everybody else, see you later. Please subscribe if you don't mind, and keep in touch. All right.
Peace.
Adios.
Take care.